Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to the new year, gentlemen. Um, Happy about this one. That's the story of the day. That is the story of the day. Not to say that I expected it to happen like this one. I didn't. But I was expecting a competitive game. I didn't know if we were gonna win. It being at home, I felt a little bit more comfortable about it, obviously. But they showed out. They showed up and showed out. And the Mavericks got cooked as a result. Uh, Terrific defensive shooting night or defensive stopping night for us, as well as them just being having poor shots. Just shooting from the field, they shot terrible. They shot 39.8% to our 51%. We were both terrible from three. They were 27.5% off 11 of 40. We were 12-44, so honestly, percentage wise, worse at 27.3. But across the board, things looked a lot better. We also had 37 assists to their 28. So that was a big one. Obviously, we had a little bit of a block party. Turnovers were down as well. They had more turnovers than us at 16. We only had 12. 6 blocks, 4 of them courtesy of the one and only Walker Kessler, who played more minutes than he typically does at, a little bit more. 26 and a half today. 5 of 6 from the field. Missed the 1 3 he took, was 1 of 2 from the free throw line, but ended up with a double-double at 11 points, 10 boards, a steal, and 4 blocks, and only had 2 personal fouls in that time. To go along with 1 turnover. Jordan Clarkson was a big guy in this one. As much as I talk, I think it was Tayton who said it last stream, but whenever I talk about somebody being poor, they decide to come back the next game. And I said, using that logic, Jordan Clarkson is due to come back again. And sure enough, that's what he did today. 8 of 16 from the field. He was 1 of 6 from 3, but 8 of 16 overall. I'm willing to accept it. I don't know about you guys. 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 10 boards, 11 assists. First triple-double since it's been years. It's been years. Was it 2008-ish? I think they said it was. So it's been like a decade and a half, about 16 years. Also had 1 steal. He did have 4 turnovers, but when he has he has a pretty efficient night from the field. Has a triple-double. I mean, I think you're willing to accept that. That 4 turnovers seems a little bit insignificant because we also got the blowout victory. You know what? Keontae played 29 minutes, 3 of 8 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, hit all 6 of his free throws, 3 boards, 3 assists, no turnovers to give himself 14 points. His box plus minus was a plus 38. Jordan Clarkson, by the way, was a plus 36. So something you don't see often, but it feels good to have it. Ochai was 1 of 6 from the field, another very bad shooting night from him. I need to look at his overall season numbers because of this game. He was 0 of 5 from beyond the arc. But again, it got swept under the rug because of the great victory. I would keep an eye on it, though. He did have 2 boards, turnover. Not his finest night, 2 points. But his box plus minus was a plus 10, nevertheless. Kelly Olynyk in about 19 and a half minutes, 3 of 3 from the field, hit the 1 3-pointer he attempted, gave us 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals to go with only 1 turnover. He did have 7 points as well. Box plus minus at the 4th best at a plus 28. Obviously, Luka and Omer both got in around the same point. Didn't really put much up. Luka did attempt a couple field goals. He was 1 of 4 from the field, had 2 points. What's up with y'all boys? Logic, you said, yo, winning by that much, it was crazy unexpected. Absolutely. Tayton's excited. I can see that. If the Jazz win by 40 shooting like that from 3, look out. Realistically, yeah. Realistically, yes. Todd, that's your first comment ever in the stream, isn't it? How's it going, man? He said, hell yeah, JC. The triple-double drought is over. Yes, it is. About time. Clarkson doing what no one did in almost 16 years for us. Revenge for what happened in the D. Fair. Here. What's up, Derek? Yes, sir. Carter, I know you excited about it. Absolutely a great game. Really? This was our most quality victory, I'm willing to argue, across the entire season. Like, obviously, yeah, we beat teams that were decent. We beat teams that were better than decent. We've beat some sorry teams into the ground. But this was a quality team with their guys healthy, and we handled business handedly. Defensively, we got the job done better than we have. I'm pretty sure this is the lowest shooting percentage any team has shot against us. So with that in mind, it just speaks volumes to how well we've been, to be quite honest. Um, you said Clarkson got the first triple double season since the Jazz. Okay, so it was Boozer in 08. Yeah. Yep. Yes, sir, Chris. He said, how was Colin tonight? He's been on fire lately. He was not on fire tonight, and they pulled him early because of it. Not mad at it, though. Jordan Clarkson paid dividends playing him, and you also got to see a couple other guys get some burn. Keontae obviously got 29 minutes. So Colin only had 19 minutes. He was 2 of 8 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3, so a bad shooting night from him. He did go 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Acceptable. 3 boards, 6 assists to only 1 turnover, so he was distributing pretty well. Obviously, of course, again, they put him at the point guard for the starter of the game. Makes no sense to me, but there it was. Box plus minus with a +1. Chris Dunn in 20 minutes was 3 of 4 from the field, hit the 1 3 that he took, had 3 boards, 7 assists to 2 turnovers, had 7 points. His box plus minus was a -1. John Collins around the same time, 7 of 13 from the field, missed all 5 of his threes. He made all 7 of his interior shots inside the 3-point line, missed all 5 of his 3-pointers. Hit the 1 free throw he took. He had 5 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, no turnovers, 15 points, but he was still box plus minus of a -1. Lowry had a little bit of a bounce back game, right? Not a significantly high number of field goal attempts, but he was 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 8 from beyond the arc, hit the 1 free throw that he took, and had 4 boards, 1 assist, a steal, a block, and only 1 turnover. So 17 points on 50% splits all across the board. Box plus minus of +8. Obviously, we would love to celebrate Jordan Clarkson, but I would also like to give a little bit of praise to an unlikely hero who helped stretch the lead out and put us in the position to close the game out the way that we did. Simone Fontecchio, 29 minutes flats, 10 of 16 from the field, 62.5% from the field, 3 of 8 from beyond the arc, hit the 1 free throw he took, had 6 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block, only 1 turnover, 24 points, and a box plus minus of a +27. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. Realistically, this is his best game of the season, offensively, and I would argue defensively. 2 steals, a block, only had 1 turnover. I mean, in 29 minutes, he also played. That was the most on the team. Keontae George was next with 28 minutes and 55 seconds, but he played the most for the second game in a row and got the job done in the time that he had. I love it. I just love it. It's a triple-double off the bench is crazy. Yeah. In 28-ish minutes too. He was about that action today. Came to get the job done. Heat and Mavericks back-to-back best wins of the year. It sounds good. Your boy was in kindergarten. It was rough. Nice win for comeback from 50-point loss versus the Mavs. Yeah, definitely swung it back the other way. Love to see it. Yeah, last time. Yeah, Car Wash Channel. Yeah, you're right. 8-3 with Pistons on deck. Dang. After Detroit, then we go Boston, Sixers, Bucks. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. That 3-game stretch is going to be tough. So it's good that we're winning these ones right now because we need them, right? We need to get as close to 500 as possible, and then we'll see how realistically, I'm interested to see how we play against Boston. More so the Sixers and the Bucks, though. Boston's a more complete team. They're a genuine contender. They haven't looked like a fraud at all. What's up, Lee? Thank you, sir. Bro, I was literally, fun fact, I was, $10 away from payout last month, so I will not get paid from my first month of monetization in January. But I'm not mad because we're monetized. Ads and all. It's not incredible, but I think the payout right now is like $94. So helps cover some of the production costs of the videos. Most of that money goes to the editor, obviously. Speaking of which, I'm debating on my next video. It's probably going to be about Lowry. I'm debating whether I'm going to put it on this channel or my other channel because it is 20 minutes long. What I might do is put it on the other channel and then drop my video about Fontecchio on this one because this was the night I was looking for out of him in order to push my agenda. And I didn't think he was going to give it to me. I thought he was just going to have a couple more solid nights. This was the one. This was the one that validates how important he is to be not even as a starter, but just as a member of this roster and the significant minutes that he's played because he's played the most minutes over And out of three, like the last four games, if memory serves me right, or he might have came off the bench 4 games ago. Regardless, impressive showing nevertheless. If we lose to Detroit, we better not lose to Detroit. I don't care how. The drought is over, right? Detroit got their W against the freshly traded and retooled Toronto Raptors. Their time is over. We're gonna keep rolling, I expect, and we'll go with what with whatever comes next. Then the Nuggets after the Bucks. Dang, that's a tough 4-game stretch right there. That might be the toughest stretch we'll have all season, honestly. So, man, I just came back from the gym and saw this blowout on my phone off the whole time. So your streams are how I know the Jazz game is done. Much love for these updates. Yes, sir. Tackle always, brother. Yep, definitely had fun today. The bench dominated after the Mavs got within 4 points in the third. Yeah, it was looking like a game for a second, and then the Dallas bench just couldn't save anything. So we got the job done. You said no Tech had an amazing game a few games ago. Okay, so yeah, then yeah, I am right. You said bench pulled through. Jazz got their get back. Yeah, we needed this one, especially the way they embarrassed us the first time around. This was a big one. This was a major one, honestly. You said homie could not miss. Let me look against too. Yeah, let me know. Let's ride this momentum through Boston. It would be lovely to see it. I don't know if we'll get it. It would definitely be. If we beat Boston, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, we're a playoff team," but I'm gonna say there's gonna be no easy victories. There's not gonna be any more blowouts, bar injuries, of course. But expect to have a really confident, capable, strong team going forward. I don't see anybody just steamrolling us. To be quite honest with you, there's great teams in the league, right? Boston's a great team. The Bucks are a pretty solid team. They've had a pretty solid showing as of late. The Sixers are a really great team. I'm not gonna say we're gonna win all those games, but I don't hate my odds right now. Like if you asked me 20 games ago, when we first started the season, like 15 games ish in, you might have me. I might stutter a little bit. But this right here, this is what we needed. This was the basketball. This was the brand of basketball I envisioned at the beginning of the season when I made all my outlandish quotes and statements, and when I made the video about the playoff teams, and I thought we were like I think I said we have a ceiling of like a 5th or a 6th seed. This was the roster that it was with. This was the play style it was with. Now, did I see Fontecchio going crazy like this? No, not necessarily. Did I see John Collins being this lackluster on defense? No. Did I see Colin Sexton being solid? Yes. Did I think Chris Dunn was the one we should have started ahead of Keontae so Keontae can learn the point guard trade and the way that we want it run from him? Yes. Keontae shot finally good from the field the past 2 games. I mean, granted, 37.5% today wasn't terrific, but it's 3 of 8 from the field. So it's not abysmal to have. And he was a box plus minus of a plus 38. So defensively, he was a lot more active in passing lanes and just being present in the moment. Ochai's been a little bit of a question mark lately. Kelly Olynyk can't say enough good things about him. And I think a big thing that we're seeing out of this roster, particularly for us right now, is a simple fact of we have a lot of talent and it's finally cohesively working together. We're pulling Walker Kessler off the bench. It's like, oh, why would you pull Walker off the bench? It makes no sense. They must not know how to use him. Well, it's working, right? Box plus minus plus 37, right? In 26 and a half minutes. 5-6 from the field. Was willing to take a 3. He missed it, but he was willing to take that 3, right? That's what we want to see out of him. 10 boards, 4 blocks. 4 blocks in 26 and a half minutes. I can't wait to take a deep dive into the metrics of how much lower teams shoot at the rim against him. Because last time I checked, obviously he's still probably going to be a little bit higher on the totem pole than Rudy Gobert. But being number 2 and only being behind the guy who's potentially the defensive player of the year is some pretty good, pretty great situation to be in, especially off the bench. The only difference is he has slightly less shot attempts against him. With that said, if you're pulling that off the bench, you're not completely getting destroyed on defense having John Collins in your starting lineup. Lowry's having a bounce back game. He's shooting well. Fontecchio's also shooting well. Chris Dunn doesn't shoot bad from the field. And Colin Sexton shoots mediocre on one night, and you can pull him, and Jordan Clarkson has a good night. He has a bounce back night. Not to mention, Walker Kessler off the bench, right? John Collins had 15 points in 17 minutes. He was 53.8% from the field. He missed all 5 of his threes, but again, he shot over 50% from the field and had 15 points in 17 minutes. And then they yanked him from the game, and you didn't see him again. But then it was Walker's time. Job got done. That's a W. Greatest defense we've played all season, 39.8%. The first time a team shot beneath 40% against us, right? Not just beneath league average, but abysmally terrible. They took 93 shot attempts and only hit 37. They were 11 of 40 from the three-point line. Now, we were bad from the three-point line as well. I will say that. Fontecchio and Markkanen were obviously our best because they had 7 attempts. They were 7 of 16. Overall, we were 12 of 44. But at the end of the day, we shot poorly from 3 and blew them out. What does that tell you? Defensively, we got stops. We didn't turn the ball over a lot, so there was not a lot of transition attempts for them. And we made significantly more field goals than them. They had 37. We had 49. And of those, we only hit 1 more three-pointer than them. This is the type of game that you want to be able to replicate. Now, I don't know how replicable it is. I'm a proponent of somebody that's going to say they're very capable of getting the job done. Is it guaranteed? No, of course not. We know we've been across the roller coaster, right? We're 30 games into the year. We've seen the roller coaster of emotions that the Jazz are going to put us through. But at the same time, you have to trust this roster to get the job done. I don't think John Collins is as egregiously a negative at times as a lot of people do. He has had his moments though, right? Defensively, he leaves a lot to be desired, and it's unfortunate because he's lengthier, he's longer. If you put Colin Sexton's mentality into John Collins' body on defense, he'd be a menace. You have Walker Kessler being conservative on defense. He had more blocks than he had personal fouls today. He had 4 blocks and 2 personal fouls in 27 minutes, right? Kelly Olynyk only played 19 and a half minutes and had 3 personal fouls. So his issues there defensively are a little bit shaky, but defensively, sometimes you feel better than having John Collins in the game. And that's fine because you can use both of them. They can both shoot, even though John Collins didn't hit his today. Kelly Olynyk hit the one that he did take, and Kelly Olynyk's more of a floor spacer. He's a pass maker. He's going to put other guys in positions to succeed. And if you're the Utah Jazz, that's something that you really want to see out of your guys. And it's something that you've been hoping and praying to see. But from the beginning of the season, we haven't even had a solid performance out of Taylor Hendricks yet. He finally got to see the floor recently, and then we had to pull him back because everybody's healthy again. But you mean to tell me without your highest pick guy, who's still in developmental stages, still needs to get his shot right and still needs to get some quality minutes, without even him or Bryce, Keontae George is the only guy getting minutes right now, and he's playing decent. Since he came back from injury, he had the first really shaky game, and then he's had 2 pretty solid ones from an effort standpoint and from a shot-making standpoint. So I like what I'm seeing. I'm pretty sure you guys feel the same way. Let me see here. Not to ignore the chat. I apologize. Derek, you said, honestly, if we go 1-3 against Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly, I'll be satisfied. I can live with it. If we can still 1, and as long as the games we lose are within 10, I feel really good because that means we can hang with anybody. If you hang within 10 against Denver, if you hang within 10 against Milwaukee, against Boston, you feel really good about that. You said if you lock up Dame with Sexton and Giannis with Markkanen, we can get the job done. And that's not to mention that for over half the game, you're going to have Walker on the floor, even if he does play 24 to 26 in that minutes range, because that's what we've seen out of him lately. Walker at the rim, hands up defense. It's not going to work every time, but we're going to make it hard for Giannis, right? It's not going to be a cakewalk. He's not going to sit there and run through 4 guys and then punch on everybody. That's not happening. He's going to pay if he wants to make that decision. And I don't expect Colin Sexton to let Dame get a good shot. And let's not forget, Colin Sexton isn't even the starting best defensive guard. He's just the most egregious. He's the most tenacious in the moment. He's the one that makes a play and you hear about it. The guy that really makes the plays, but is the unsung hero and just sits back and congratulates his teammates, is Chris Dunn. And he's finally getting his starts. This is what, 4th or 5th start now for him. He's back to he's shooting a few field goals, right? He's not playing significant minutes, but he's starting the game, setting the tone defensively, initiating the offense more often than not. He was second in the team in assists, and he played 20 minutes. He had 7 assists. Jordan Clarkson was first, obviously, since he had the triple-double with 11, and then you had Kelly Olynyk in 20 minutes with 6. So when you have that level of depth and that level of mixability between your rosters, and that's to say Taylor Horton-Tucker, before he went down with injury again, he was playing great. And he's not even a factor right now. He was the only available player that didn't play. And that just comes down to there not being enough minutes in a game. And say what you will about the roster as it's constructed right now, there's a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. And as long as they do all of those things well, you feel really comfortable about how things are going to be shaping out going forward. There's no guarantees that everybody's going to be able to keep up. But when you have the mixability to plug and play guys at different positions, you like where you're standing at. Because if something doesn't work one night, okay, I can adjust it. I can adjust it in the game. Now, Will Hardy's been a little bit more willing to make adjustments than, say, a Quinn Snyder was. And that speaks to his ability to long-term make the adjustments necessary to try the lineups that are necessary to find out what this team is truly capable of. And it also makes him less predictable, right? One night you can go Taylor Horton-Tucker. One night you can go Chris Dunn. You can still have Keontae off the bench. If Keontae's shooting a hot night, keep him on the floor. If he's not, pull him back off the floor. If Jordan Clarkson's shooting bad, I guarantee you Colin Sexton's on. If Colin Sexton has a night starting shooting the way he did tonight, which is the first time since he's been a starter, Jordan Clarkson was hot. Ochai Agbaji wasn't hot, but defensively, he's going to bring it every time, right? He's not going to take a significant amount of shot attempts. So if he is missing, you're going to know really early, and he's just going to lock up. He's going to swing the ball. I like it. Kelly Olynyk, playmaking, rebounding, shot making. It's there. They don't, and the biggest thing about this team that a lot of people don't talk about is the fact that they just have no ego. Your biggest ego guy is who? Colin Sexton. And Colin Sexton started the season on the bench, and you never heard a peep out of him. But every time he came in, he was hyping his teammates up, right? Lauri Markkanen, the lone all-star on this team, cool as a cucumber, smiling, laughing, giggling, having fun with the guys. Walker Kessler, same way, a little bit sheepish. They don't have a grandiose personality about this team where it's like the alpha dog and then everybody else falls in line. No, everybody picks each other up. It's a group mentality, and that's the best thing that you can want, especially for your city being the way it is, being a small market team. You're not going to be able to attract big market talent that wants all these brand deals and these opportunities to do all these different things. You have to build within. And when you have the opportunity to do it and you successfully do it, as they have been, and they're finally bearing the fruits of their labor, and the trials and tribulations are finally coming to pass. And there's still some rocky roads ahead, absolutely. But right now, just as much as we criticize them in the beginning of the season for running the lineups that they did and not trying things out the way that we thought they should have, we can also appreciate and praise them for what we're seeing right now. Just a thought. Let me see. You said, bro, you should have said something. I would have gotten you on that. It took a while, but this Jazz team is starting to look like the team we expected. Yeah. Next time I tell you, bro. My fault, Lee. I just saw it. Yeah. No, it's good though, man, because it's a good motivator. It's a good motivator. So my parents are hating on Fontecchio starting, and throughout the whole game, every time he did something productive, I would hype him up. Jonathan, you fool. He said, I love how they beat us by 50, and then we come back and beat them by 37. You know, we didn't completely even the score, but we let them know we were a force to be reckoned with. He said, I finally had time to record my first post game. Excited for it to drop. This game for you help us support. I love you, brother. Yeah, man. I'm glad to see it. I saw the other video that you dropped too. James, what's up, man? I know you're hype about it. Said Josh Green was the MVP for the Jazz. Luka left for the locker room early for a disappointing night. Yeah, Mark. Yeah, it's how the cookie crumbles. 2 games out of the play-in. Yep, I feel comfortable with the way we're playing, the brand of basketball above everything else. Not even just the wins and losses of it, just the way it's being productively put forward and how we're handling and conducting ourselves. It's important. Said the Jazz proved they're competitive against the Heat and Mavs, obviously playoff and possibly championship contenders. I've always said I believe the Jazz are better than they were. Absolutely, they had the talent to do it for sure. This is more in line with what we thought, bro. Absolutely. I feel like we lose to Boston, beat the 76ers, lose to the Bucks, and lose a close game to the Nuggets. Let me see. Lose to Boston, beat the Sixers. I think out of the 4, the Sixers is the not easiest, but the most comfortable game we'll have out of those ones. The Nuggets are disciplined. They're not going to make too many mistakes. Could we catch them on the off night? Possibly, but I wouldn't count on it. The Bucks, similarly. Could we catch them on the off night? They have more pieces than the Sixers do. Nick Batum's supposed to be returning. I think they said, and maybe he did return already. but he'll play a big one in that game. Boston's going to be a tough one to win. As long as we keep the Boston game close and we don't get our heads down, we'll still be able to carry momentum going forward into the other games. Absolutely. Said I don't understand the Kelly haters. Yeah, yeah. A win against Boston cements Jazz as a contender. That would be crazy. Not just a win, but like a confident win would be something serious for us. I'd definitely say. We said, what did I just miss? Okay. Kelly is amazing. Just adjust places he's needed. Absolutely. Luka and Kyrie had an unusually bad night in fairness to the Mavs. That part as well. They shot bad, and we also forced them in the bad situations. He said Kessler 1v1 defense on Doncic was special. Kessler's a lot more comfortable against just moving defensively than Rudy Gobert was. He's less awkward in his motions. And honestly, sometimes watching Rudy Gobert play made me feel as though he would get injured because he has a herky-jerky, awkward motion about him. So it's not like a Kyrie Irving ball handler kind of shiftiness to him. It just looks awkward, like almost not painful to walk, but it was painful to watch. Walker doesn't have that issue. Walker's a lot more conservative in the way he plays. He plays as if he's like 6'5"-ish. His motions are. And that's something that you really want to see. And that's why I'm big on him shooting three-pointers, because I don't even take a significant amount, but taking some at all, number one, it stretches out the defense. It puts people in a position where you can't just sag off of him every time. If he goes and they go into a high pick and roll situation, he has the ability to pop, and you have to respect it. That's the next iteration of his game, right? He doesn't need to hit 38, 50% from the three-point line. If he could hit 33, 34, maybe 35, right? On low attempts, 1 to 2-ish a game, that means that you're going to have to respect that jumper. Because if you give it away and he hits it, okay, been my mistake. I couldn't imagine Walker Kessler getting hot from three per se, but if you keep leaving it and you keep going under the screen and you keep sagging off, and he does eventually reach the point where he comfortably, in his mind, not only has the mechanics to hit the three, but I don't think his confidence is at the point where he can comfortably do it on a consistent basis in a game time setting. So once he reaches that point, a lot of people are going to have issues, because Rudy Gobert, you didn't have to worry about that. All he could do was dunk at the rim. His hook shots weren't great. Walker has more of a layup package. Now, I'm glad he's going up stronger now, right? Because there was a period of time where he was doing a bunch of layups and he was missing the layups. But now we thought it was a sophomore season slump. They're finding an area for him on this team. They're finding a point of attack for him on this roster, and it's paying dividends. The biggest thing that you could want from him is for him to be successful in the endeavors when he's on the court. He is a second-year player. He is supposed to be a core piece of your future. Whether Danny Ainge decides to offload Lowry, which I personally wouldn't. I understand why you would, though. As a general manager, your objective is to make this team better. But I don't want to see the Jazz go into a complete rebuild, because they've made the adjustments that they need to take that next step. Colin Sexton is finally getting the opportunity to start. And with the exception of tonight, realistically, there was one other game where he shot 6 of 17 from the field. And that was another poor night shooting. But more often than not, he's been what you were kind of hoping for when you first traded for him. And you thought he was the best player in the deal. You thought number 2 was the best guy. It was 23. And he's the all-star. So you have both of them hitting on all cylinders, combined in the fact that Keontae George is making progressive strides. We got scared for a minute, but he's doing a little better, right? He's back from injury. He's shooting better. Jordan Clarkson has been up and down. Whether you keep him or not, he's going to be semi-reliable. And when he's not, make sure you pull him from the game. And he hasn't been raising a fuss. So that means not only he's a very confident person. If you ever see the interviews or the way he carries and conducts himself, Jordan Clarkson is a very confident person. He believes in himself. He believes that he's that guy. But he's not letting the Jordan Clarkson being that guy get in the way of the team. There's too many guys with ego across the league that have certain situations where it's me over team. There's a me and team, so I should matter. I hit shots, I get buckets, I get paid. Treat me as such. Instead of, I want us to win. And Jordan Clarkson, to his credit, the beginning half of the season, I don't think he should have started. I understand they gave him the leash. They gave him the opportunity to prove that he could be a potential starter. He scores better against second units, and that's what it is, right? Every night? No, not necessarily. But we're seeing a more even balance out of it. Whereas instead of every 4 games having a good night starting, He's having every other game off the bench. And I can live with that. It's a little bit more predictable. It's a little bit more comfortable. And if you know he's having a bad shooting night, you can pull him and you know he's not going to be sitting there sad and depressed on the bench, bringing down the team morale. He's going to be cheering on his teammates. He's going to be hyping everybody up. Word to Chris Dunn, another guy who can ball. He's finally hitting more shots and his percentages are going a little bit up. But he's been one of those guys where he knows he's not a huge shot maker. He knows it's not his team. He knows that he has the potential to either get traded, just get let go of. Honestly, he's on a veteran minimum deal. So he's, for the amount of money they're paying him, it's highway robbery. It's so cheap. They got him in the value section. They got him on clearance, on clearance, on clearance. And they have him starting right now, and he's playing solid. He's setting the table for the guys that need the table set for them. Colin Sexton is passing the ball more than he ever has, honestly, that I've seen in his career. He had a couple of his assists. He had 6 today. A couple of his assists went to Fontecchio, who was 10 of 16 from the field, 62%. He was 3 of 8 from 3. The only person that shot better, Lauri Markkanen, the star of the team, 4 of 8 from 3. He had a bounce back game shooting. These are things that you really want to see out of these guys. And it's just great to finally have a game that validates what we've all been thinking and what we've all been hoping to see for the longest period of time. You said contender, not so sure. Potential playing team? Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. What do you think I disagree? The Pistons almost smoked Boston on the road. The Pistons are not going to be an easy team. I'll say that. The Pistons are not going to roll over for us, but I think we'll handle business. If Larry Sexton has a bad night, we can still win. Exactly. It's a bit far-fetched. A team contender being on. Jazz still below 500. True. Need a larger sample size. But the past 10 games, Sexton started. Jazz 7-3. Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm more wishful thinking than anything. Understandable. Completely understandable, Ryan. Can't be mad at you for that. It's more of what I thought the Jazz would be. You know, I got all over. Mm-hmm. Money. What's up, man? He said 8-3 Sexton as a starter is great. Yup. 32 viewers. Oh yeah, we're in here. We are in here today. 9-3 seems like a lock. We're almost about to pull a 10-3 like last season. It would be nice to see, like I said, Jazz Nation or Mavs Nation. Yeah, either way. We're not hating on the Jazz. We just appreciate a good W. Love the growing viewers here, family. Yes, sir. We're all a family. If you haven't said anything in the chat, but you're in the live, man, go ahead and say what's up. It's a vibe in here, man. Every Jazz game. Hopefully we can keep winning, force Ainge to make win now moves. I'm so happy I can stop hating on Sexton and Simone before early season struggles. They've been balling lately. Absolutely. Just putting guys in the position to succeed. Will Hardy's been doing a much better job of that lately. And again, he is a second-year head coach. He has things to grow on as a leader, as a coach, as that head of the snake. And him finally having the opportunity to make those extra strides and take those steps is very important. And him being able to honestly just make mistakes and bounce back from them is something that cannot be overstated, because as a coach, you have to be willing to, number one, be criticized. Number two, accept fault for your mistakes and when the team is not performing well. And number three, push the guys to do better. He's done all of those things. And as of late, over the past, like you said, 11-game sample size, pretty good. Have there been some mediocre teams in there? Yeah. Have there been some middle-tier teams in there? Yeah. Have there been some more upper-level teams? Yeah. And I feel comfortable with all those games. Now we're really about to enter a stretch where they really push us. They really test us. And the Utah Jazz are going to have to really respond. As we said, really 3, if not all 4 of those teams, well, with the exception of the Pistons, obviously, that next stretch of 4 games is going to be straight contending teams. So how we face against them will tell us what we can expect out of this team at full health the remainder of the season, this second half of the season that's coming up. Is this a team that can potentially make a push, win out more than half of the rest of their games, and finish the season with 44-ish wins? Maybe. I don't think they're going to push 50, obviously, but could they definitely touch 500, if not be better than 500? I think this roster is capable of that. A few games over 500 is not insane to think about this team. It's just a matter of time whether they're actually capable of doing it or if they can push themselves to that point. If everybody can stay healthy, everybody can stay locked in, I think it's a reasonable take to have. And that's not to say that there's going to be no troubled stretches along the way, because there are with every team, right? There's teams right now that are in a slump that won't be in a slump at the end of the season, that are still going to be considered to be contenders. But it's just about them making sure they string together enough W's along the road to get the job done. And I think they can definitely get the job handled. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some cohesion. And we saw really their best game played across the board, with the exception of the three-point shooting, of course. But that just speaks to how great they played today. They outshot this team significantly. Now, the other team stars were shooting poorly. Was some of it just them having an off night? Yes. The other part was these guys playing good defense. We'll take both. If you give both of those, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, both having an off night, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Heck no. And we remember last time we played them. The 50-point L I still feel it. So winning by 37 right here, needed it. And they got the job done. Credit to these guys. My favorite part of this game was the alley-oops, more specifically that me made every single one of ours and they missed every single one of theirs. Just not just the ball being shared, but the Jazz went from 30 in turnovers to 10th over the last year. Really, 10th. That's really good. That's a big thing, because a big cost for them wasn't just the fact that the shots weren't falling. It was the fact that they kept turning the ball over and giving up transition points. If you give up live ball turnovers, being conservative and saying that, oh, they hit league average shooting and they're shooting 44% on the fast break, that's still too many points to give up. We were at one point averaging 17.3 at our peak, I believe, 17.3 or 17.7 turnovers per game. That's terrible. The fact that, as Lee brought to our attention, placing 10th overall recently and getting closer down to the 11s. I think we had 8 the one night, 11, 8, 13, 4, 12. Like, if you can keep your turnovers that low and have a lot more dead ball turnovers than live ball turnovers, it lets you set your defense. It prevents the other team from having easy possessions to just either pile on a lead or get back into a game if they're down. And it puts you in a position to let you know that you're handling the job properly. And you get more positive offensive possessions. You can miss a shot, there's going to be a rebound. If you turn the ball over or get ripped and they go down and they dunk it or they lay it up or they get a three off, that's a much more darning play. Just said. You said Archer back. You said Sexton had a bad game, but listen, he still had 6 assists every game. His turnovers are going down. Improvement when he's on fire, he'll drop 20, and that's at least 20, right? Carter, you said, dude, I was impressed with Keontae. He didn't do anything special, but he was always in the right place. Sounds lame, but it was no. It's important to be, because that's another thing. You raise a good point, Carter. When it comes to Keontae George, not only do you want him to be an effective scorer with the ball in his hands, not only do we want him to be a good table setter for the other guys, right? Lowry's not a great offensive piece alone. He needs somebody to table set for him. Fontecchio can create a little bit, but he, by and large, would prefer somebody creates for him, right? Similar to John Collins. A lot of these guys need the table set for them. Walker Kessler, similar thing. Being able to rely on Keontae to make those progressions to his game and become a table setter, the likes of Chris Dunn, or what Colin Sexton is slowly evolving into and getting more comfortable doing, right? Comfortability is a big thing. If it's uncomfortable for you to shoot 3 balls effectively on the move, off the catch, off the dribble, whatever the case may be, you're less likely to do it, for one. And for two, with less reps means you're less likely to be successful doing it. The more reps that Keontae George gets with the solid sample size, right? We don't need to be putting him out here 36 minutes a night and just letting him do willy-nilly whatever. We tried that. It didn't work, right? But dialing it back, seeing what he's doing good at, seeing what he's not doing good at, having those conversations with him in practice, putting him through certain reps, certain types of game-type situations and simulating things to get him prepared for game day, and then putting him out on the court and allowing him to show the fruits of the labors is important. And off-ball movement is one of the biggest things, because when you think of the greats in the game, especially in today's league, not only can they shoot, they can shoot well when they have not touched the ball the entire possession. The reason why everybody widely regards Stephen Curry as the greatest shooter of all time is because no matter where he is on the court, you have to account for him. Because if you don't, as soon as he catches the ball, he's letting it fly. He has a one-motion jumper. It's going. And more often than not, a guy that's shooting 40% plus on field goals, there's guys in the league that are starting shooting in their high 30s from the field. So he's shooting that from beyond the arc. You have to respect it. Now, I'm not saying Keontae is going to be shooting, 40, 44% from 3. That's not what I'm saying. But if he could shoot 37%, 38%, high 30s, and get his efficiency as he goes to the rim, get a little bit more muscle to his frame, be able to attack downhill properly, and then also have that play creation and that shot making skill and just being able to create for others in table set, you have a genuinely franchise point guard. And obviously, we know Chris Dunn's a little older. Chris Dunn understands this isn't his team. This is not his franchise to control. But what he's going to do is give you quality minutes. As long as you pay him and you treat him with respect, he's going to give you quality minutes, take quality shots, not steal shots from other guys, and table set for the guys that actually matter. If Keyonte George can take those mental notes, move off ball, and get quality shots, once those shots start falling, like they have been the past 2 games, he's a genuine threat every time he touches the court. As a genuine player, not just a rookie, but as a respected NBA player on the court. You're not just going to sit there and do a general closeout on him. You're not just going to let him roam off ball however he wants to. You're not going to sag off. You're not going to drag and be late and try and overhelp on defense. You're going to respect it. And when he makes them respect it on a more consistent basis, as he has been as of late, things are going to get really dangerous for some other guys because now you don't have an easy assignment when the rookie's on the court. A lot of people like Scoot Henderson was having trouble shooting. He's starting to find his way a little bit. He's got a little bit more before I actually trust it entirely. But nobody thought he was going to be shooting as poorly as he did to start the season. But he did. And it became to the point where if you're guarding Scoot, not to say you're taking it easy on defense, but you're kind of taking it easy on defense. And for a stretch of games, it was the same thing with Keyonte George. And if you're letting somebody's opposing guard who has the potential to give you 20 points on any given night rest on defense, and he's just jogging with the rookie, they don't care. But when Keyonte's on the court as of late, and credit to what Carter said, the off-ball movement, being able to find the slivers in the defense, the knifing areas, and making the proper cuts and getting into a position, even if he doesn't touch the ball, just making that motion, making that extra effort to initiate the offense and put yourself into a better position to score, and by in turn, allowing other people to get open as a result as well. Said, can someone tell me when we were able to extend Simone, Kelly, and THT? I can't imagine it would take, it's got to be almost on us at this point, I would say. I just lost my place. Crap. Hang on, I'm back. All right. Hardy is a great coach, one of the best in the league. Don't understand the haters. If he has a good roster, he'll make the most out of it. And we're seeing it now. It just took him a little bit of time to get to that point. Now we can say that this lineup can survive the season without trading anyone. Yes. The only thing is now we're seeing the overabundance of talent we have at the guard positions. That's the only issue with what we're seeing right now, that I would say, personally. I said this in my last video. Sexton and Dunn are the starting shooting guard and point guard, respectively. Agreed. THT is the biggest ego guy. And and honestly, it's not his isn't even as egregiously loud as some other stars in the league, some actual stars in the league. You said we're almost at Tennessee. Let's go. Yes, sir. Like a sub, YouTube Gold. Absolutely, man. Like and sub. Somanich had turned into a ball hog, but luckily he doesn't play. He gave me some hope last season, but I lost it. I wouldn't say lose it in him. I think because he's fallen so far down on the depth chart, it's a position where when he comes into the game, he wants to shot chuck because he wants to have something to his name. And I don't hate it because for the most part, he's only played in earlier on, it was the blowout losses, but like today, it was a blowout victory. So do I love him ball hogging? No, but do I understand it? Absolutely. Because when you're in a situation where there's all these guys ahead of you at your position, at other positions, and you just kind of fall to the wayside and you're not even in trade talks, right? Luke is not even trade talk. He's not even notable enough to be in trade talks. In that sense, when you come in, you're going to burn you're going to try and do as much. And it might be too much at times, but he's still giving that genuine effort. And I can appreciate that. Ready 2K subs ASAP. Hey, I would love that, man. Agree, Lee. Sexton and Dunn. Best combo? Yep. Gonna keep the live loading. Gonna Oakley to bed. Yes, sir. Tell Oakley I said, hey. Since you text box score against boxes. 7 of 8 and 5 from 3. I do remember that one. Absolutely. Okay, yeah. Yep. Let's break the Boston's home streak. That would be lovely to see, Mark. I don't know how realistic it is. Obviously, we feel like we're on cloud 9 right now. Quality win against a quality team. It's not going to be easy for us or for Boston. But we're not going to roll over for them, and I know they're definitely not going to roll over for us on their home floor. So it's just going to be a battle of powers, and we'll see how things go. I know against Boston, we're going to have to shoot better from 3. right? We're not going to be able to escape Boston shooting 27% on 44 attempts. But that said, we're going to make it hard for them equally. I would say. Tech is one of my heart. I used to be the biggest Tech hater, but he's good. Not quite sure I like him as a starter, but he's a solid bench forward. Yeah, regardless of where we played him, he's played his role to the best of his ability. And that's the biggest thing that you can hope from anybody, especially somebody that was at one point regarded to be the best small forward prospect outside of the NBA. He's showing it. He's proving it right now. What's your thoughts on a play-in like before it said when it just be the playoffs? Because today my friend said something interesting. The Nuggets played against the only play-in team to the finals. Wait, let me read that again. What's your thoughts on the play-in like before when it just had to be playoffs? Because today my friend said something interesting. The Nuggets played against the only play-in team to the finals. Oh, I mean, realistically, once you make the playoffs, whether you're the Utah Jazz or any team, if you make the plan, you have the opportunity to you are still in contention. You're not completely gone, right? And as my saying is, it's not over till it's over. Whether it's a nightly game against the greatest team to ever touch the basketball court, or if you're playing against the worst team in the league, right? It's not over till the clock hits double zeros. Same thing with a playing team. Now, obviously, some playing spots are a lot harder, as they should be. But I think the playing actually was a lot better than people actually are willing to give it credit for, because it gives certain teams more hope, for one. And for two, it just gives you more hope as a fan base. It gives you more confidence in your future as a team. Even if you guys don't make the playoffs, right? They play a couple playing games and they lose out. Oh, they're gone. You still get to see where you guys are at for the upcoming season. And so just a little bit more basketball makes things a little more interesting. I definitely think the Utah Jazz, as constructed, are a playing team. I thought that before the season started, I thought they were a 7th, maybe 6th seed team. When things got rocky, I was still praying for play-ins. Like, I wasn't ready to say the Utah Jazz are not a playoff team. I said they suck right now. They're playing bad. Some guys shouldn't be starting. Some guys should have less shot attempts. But I was never willing to say that they were a bad team, because objectively, they weren't. It just took more time for certain things to happen. And we're seeing the fruits of those opportunities now. And that's a really big thing. And I just love that for the team, the brand, and everything, because the play-in is definitely within reach. We're seeing it right now. Somebody said earlier, we're only 2 games out right now. And is it going to be difficult? Absolutely, because the other teams aren't just terrible teams, right? At one point, the Clippers were a playing team, and now I believe they're 4th or 5th seed in the West in the playoff picture. So it's going to take work. But if this team that we see today shows up every single night, you got to feel comfortable with those odds. That's all. The Jazz beat a fully healthy Nuggets team last year with no Markkanen, Sexton, or Clarkson. It'll be interesting to see if that could happen again. Doncic was rubbing his quad throughout the night, in fairness, probably affecting his ability to score. Fair. Do you think Ochai is not aggressive enough? I can't see his hungry heart. I wouldn't say it's not that he's not aggressive enough. I think that we haven't quite unlocked him all the way. I know that sounds really stupid, but I don't think that Ochai has really found the niche area that's going to allow him to be the best player that he potentially could be. And we're not putting him in the best position to succeed in the role that he's genuinely probably the best at. Now, do I like him as a spot-up shooter? Yes. Has he been hitting his spot-up shots lately? No. And I think his overall – I'm about to look right now, actually. His overall shooting splits from the three-point line, even with him going like 0-5 today, he's still 35.4 on almost 3.5 attempts a game, shooting 45% from the field. So again, this 34 game sample size, pretty solid. Really roughly in line with what he did last season. He shot 33.9 attempts last season, 3.3 this season. Last season he hit 35.5%. He's at 35.4% after going 0-5 today. So you feel pretty comfortable with it. You feel pretty confident. His overall field goal percentage is up. Admittedly, he went from 6.5 attempts last season down to 5.7. He's up about half a minute. Not that it makes anything significant. He's scoring 6.6 points a game instead of the 7.9 that he had last season. He's making 2.6 field goals in relation to the 2.8 he had before. So by and large, he's looking like the same player at the very least offensively. Would we like him to be a little bit more aggressive? Absolutely. But I don't think that it's in the cards for the way that we're setting him up to play for him to actually get that done. Do we still trade Clarkson? I would definitely hear out offers. Games like this make me hesitate. My thing with Clarkson is you can't start him. He's not a starting shooting guard. He's off the bench. And if Clarkson is going to guarantee you every other game he's going to go off, and then one game he's going to be mediocre. Not bad, but mediocre. That's something you might want to be feeling comfortable living with. And I couldn't fault you for it because I would fall into the mindset where I would definitely think about it. I would definitely think about it. It's worth a thought. I would still shop him. I'm not 100%. I'm teetering on the edge right now. If Lowry stays healthy, the Jazz will make the playoffs. I could definitely see it. Clarkson doing better as a sixth man? Absolutely. Would you trade Clarkson for Taurean Prince and Max Christie? I don't know. I don't know if I like Taurean Prince on this particular roster. And Max Christie he leaves much to be desired for me personally. I know some people really like him. I'm just not the biggest Max Christie believer. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Which position is better for Ochai? Small forward or shooting guard? Probably small forward, realistically. Like, in a perfect world on a different team, Ochai is small forward. Now, obviously, Lowry is the starting small forward, so that limits the amount of minutes he can play. And you would ideally like to see Ochai on the court alongside Lowry. But we're seeing he might be better suited for a more traditional small forward type of role instead of the point guard the shooting guard that we're trying to play him as. Chris Dunn is like Dennis Rodman type of impact player, frustrating other teams on defense. For sure. Awesome win tonight, but after the Pistons, the next 4 games are so tough. Yep, Chris, I'm with you on that one. I just realized my voice texted hi, not hi. He said hi, Cole. Oh no, I got him anyways. You already know. NBA Hooper's message retracted. That's the problem with voice text. Yeah. Do you think we're going to make a big move at the deadline, like for a star? I don't think there's going to be a big star that gets picked by the Utah Jazz. I'll say that. I don't think that is going to be a big star. I do think that there's going to be a move. I would be surprised if no trade gets made at all. But I think they're kind of teetering on the edge because games like this will make you think, do we have enough to make the playoffs? And if I can't get a big star, would I hurt the team by getting a smaller pieces? Because we have a bunch of small pieces. We have reliable pieces right now. If they play like this every night, would I still trade one of them if I can't get a bigger piece? That's a question it's worthy of thought at the very least. You said I forgot how fast Kyrie can run. Oh yeah, Kyrie's like that. Holding the Mavs under 100 points is something. Absolutely. Almost held them under 90 as well. Yeah. I don't think the Jazz go for a win now trade at this point of their rebuild because the only second year of their rebuild, but they might make a small needed pieces to fill out the roster. Yeah, I could see that. I think they might unload one of the guards just because they don't have the space for them on the team to get like a lot of burn overall. That's one thing I could potentially see. I don't think they go all out for a win trade. Well, best case scenario, Pacers miss the play-in both this year and next. Forced to sell and rebuild. We buy Halliburton, and Lowry. 1 million threes for Lowry. That would be terrific. But I don't know how likely we would be to actually get that opportunity. He said, I also don't think we trade Lowry. The other NBA execs said it wishful thinking. The execs think they could get Lowry. So it goes both ways. I don't think the Jazz unload a star either. Yeah, for real. Yeah, I'm with you. How likely is the scenario, though? LL Pacers are 1 or 2 pieces away from really contending. They'll be under the second apron. Yeah, they'll still be under the second apron. That's true. That is true. Keontae has impressed me with his decision-making. Yeah, most definitely. I'm not saying I'm not hoping for the scenario you laid out, but it's not likely in my opinion. Fair enough. This team's trajectory is definitely up, for sure. And I'm good with that. Salute from Italy for the Jazz. Andrea, what's up, man? Glad to have you in here. Gotta hop off again. Need to put Oakley down in bed. I'll probably catch the last few minutes of live. If I don't, good night to all. Yes, sir. Who should we trade? Games like this make me question. Like, Ochai objectively has been shooting poorly for a little minute. I don't think I'm willing to trade him, though. Defensively, I think he brings enough to where I'm like, I need it. I need it still, right? I'm not ready. I have a little bit of an attachment to Kelly Olynyk, so I'm not ready. I'm not prepared to surrender Kelly Olynyk. That said, My mind tells me it's going to be either Jordan Clarkson or Taylor Horton Tucker. Jordan Clarkson's getting a lot more minutes. Obviously, THT hasn't played the past 2 games, and then the game before he played in garbage time, I think. So I think he potentially might be the first one to go. He also has the most immediate appeal because he can do a lot of things well. He doesn't always do things really well, but he does enough, right? And he's known for being a Swiss Army knife. So it's potentially possible that a lot of things happen, a lot of things shake out a certain way, and you do see Jordan Clarkson be the one to stay and Taylor Horton Tucker the one to get traded away, whether it be for draft picks or for another piece. Personally, if I'm going to bring a guard in, I have to trade 2 guards out. Because if I go 1 for 1, I'm in the same situation where I have THT, Ochai, Keontae, Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, Chris Dunn. That's 6 people. There's only 48 minutes in a game, right? You need to be able to fit minutes where minutes need to go for guys. Let's see. Fun life as always. You're all my family away from family. Yes, sir. Cosmic, what's up, my guy? So I just watched this game's highlights. Yep, 32 people watching these series right now. I'm saying we had a lot of family in here today. I loved it. I loved it. They're being a good 5 games into the ratio. 14 to 19 ratio. Now 15 to 19. Yep. They can still get in the playoffs. Yeah, I definitely think it. What are your thoughts on bringing Don back to Utah and having him play the 1? I don't know how likely they would be to do it. Would I like to see it? Yeah. I had to think about it for a second. I would love to have Donovan Mitchell back. I don't know if he can be the ideal table setter and defensive centerpiece that we're seeing out of Chris Dunn. But if we could bring him back, maybe do you want Keontae George to learn from Donovan Mitchell? Do you want him to be the Donovan Mitchell archetype? Or are you comfortable waiting until Keontae George is that next guy? Now, admittedly, if Donovan Mitchell, how many more years does he have in his contract? Let me see. Google Donovan Mitchell contract. Because I know they're talking about trading him. Who remain in place for the 23-24 season. Started the last time. His contract has to be almost over, right? 20. Okay, so 25-26. So, I mean, in a trade, I don't know how much it would cost us to get him back. If he was a free agent, would I gladly accept him to come back if he would love to? By the grace of God, yes, absolutely. No questions asked. But in a trade, I think that the cost to get him back would be crazy low key because we fleeced them now that we look back at it, right? If you can get 20 point per game Colin Sexton and 24, 25 point per game Lauri Markkanen on good efficiency for both of them, you traded 1 star for 2 stars. You traded 1 offensive superstar for 2 offensive superstars. Well, maybe not superstars, but perennial all-star caliber players. You traded 1 for 2. And they didn't even know it. The Cavs didn't even know what they gave up. So in that sense, there's going to be quite a few teams that want Donovan Mitchell. I've heard Miami's in on it. Obviously, we know the Knicks are in on it. Would I love to have him back? Absolutely, though. You said, what are your thoughts? Let me see. Keep Clarkson as a 6-man. Might want to. But just got home from the game. Holy triple double. Yes, sir, Zach. It was beautiful. Want to bring back Donovan. I can understand why. Obviously, late to the party, but smash like and stuff. Right? Channel support goes a long way for the guy. Yes, sir. Yup. It's a new month, new monetization goals, guidelines, and dreams. The goal for 2024 between all of my channels. I'm going to say here, since it was my first stream of the year. 10K subscribers on here. Videos regularly doing. I'm going to try and up the quality of the videos. Obviously, the first one coming out next is going to be Fontecchio. I'm also going to have a new main channel that's just going to be at The Wraith Hoops. It's going to be just general basketball teams. Any night that I don't do a stream on here and I'm not busy, I'll probably stream on that channel. Just general basketball chat business and stuff. Definitely try and do that. Now, it took us six months to get to 1K. We're known. We're on the map now, right? videos pop up, we're getting more impressions, trying to bring more quality content, talking about the Jazz and all that to everybody. I changed my username. Instead of just Wraith Hoops, it's now Utah Jazz Wraith Hoops. I'm debating if I want to put Utah Jazz in my actual title name. To me, it doesn't make sense why I specifically cover the Utah Jazz and I'm underneath channels that have Utah Jazz in them, but have no Utah Jazz content or just no videos at all. Because I'm trying to bring awareness to the Utah Jazz community. But neither here nor there. By the way, like the Utah Jazz, I post videos not every day, but if it's a night that I'm streaming, probably the next day expect the video to drop, realistically speaking. So with that being said, just a whole lot of quality content coming, expecting guys to be great, putting forth the possible opportunities just to keep an eye on the Utah Jazz as they progress, as they regress, just seeing all the steps as things go by. If you have any comments, if you have any topic suggestions, drop them in any video comment section. You can suggest them in here. I might forget though. If you put them into a comment section, I always check my comments. I always reply to the comments. So with that in mind, anytime you have a suggestion, if you have a question about somebody's thing, about a trade, about a potential thought process thing, whatever the case may be, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'll respond to it. I'll screenshot it, and it'll be made into a video topic, and you'll get a video about it. The overall production costs of videos aren't that significantly high right now. I'm monetized, so it helps a little bit, not greatly, but enough to like roughly it takes like $20 each video I drop with the effects and everything. So it works. Looking to adding some new bells and whistles to everything, and we'll see how things go, just like with the Utah Jazz, how they keep things going. You said you see this year must-win season and convey the OKC first-round pick to perform report next year for the 2025 pick. That was my mindset, Mark, the way I was looking into it. Yeah. You said 10K super doable. You nailed 1K in one time. Hey, I love it. Love the first stream of the year. You're killing it, brother. I appreciate that, man. Yep. 2024 is a new year. I know a dude who took over a year and a half for 1K. Yeah. Some people that's still trying to do it, and it's been more than that. Yeah, man. First 1K is by far the hardest. Only up from here, bro. I hope so. W Stream, keep up the work ethic. Good night, y'all. Good night, Lee. Appreciate you, my boy. Glad to have you in here. Anybody else that's hopping off for the night, let us know so we can say good night to you. We're all a family in here. I think that's the biggest element that we have here on this channel compared to other ones, right? Because like it could just be numbers all the time, but it's more fun if you can have a conversation at the end of it. And like I do like the how the guys that have been in the live for weeks and forever and a half and follow the channel, you understand. Talk about basketball, talk about life, somewhere in the middle. We just have fun, guys. Good night, Ryan. He said, of course, I missed this game. Good night. Keep up the good work. Hey, man, it was a good one. If you catch the highlights, catch the highlights. You know what I'm saying? Head out. See y'all later. Yes, sir, Logic. Appreciate you, sir. Always the first one in when the last was the clock out. Appreciate your support. Went ice skating with the wifey. Oh, I know you have fun. Got to enjoy not with little of winter's left because there's a lot of winter left, but got to enjoy it for the most. Happy for you, man. Let's look at these shooting splits for them, though. Obviously, Luka and Kyrie are their biggest stars. Jaden Hardy shot the next most field goals. Luka shot 20 field goals. He was 6 of 20, 30% from the field, 3 of 13 from 3 for 23%. Had 6 boards, 14 assists, and 4 turnovers. Box plus minus of a negative 17. Kyrie in 32 minutes, 6 of 14 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover, 14 points, but a box plus minus of a negative 15. Jaden Hardy, 6 of 15 from the field, 40%, 5-9 from 3 though. So he was a big he was literally almost half of their threes. And then you had he had 3 boards, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, 17 points, but a box plus minus of a negative 22. So nobody on their team had a positive box plus minus. And then Seth Curry and Markieff Morris didn't play. But yeah. Solid stuff. Bro, the team store almost had by a cop. Oh, had me cop that same Lowry jersey, but afraid prices are a bit high. Sold on a clean black hat and white logo. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I got this one because it might have been $50. It might have been $49.99 on the NBA store. I think that was the only reason I got it because that was the most expensive one. This one was $40, and the De'Aaron Fox one was 36 or $39. They were having some crazy sale, and I had to get it. And then under this one, I have my lovely Lonzo Ball jersey. It's not the finest one, but it's a good one. And then I obviously have my old Colin Sexton one and an old Nick Batum jersey from when he was on the Hornets. Kuzi, what's up, my boy? Already in the team store. That's crazy. That's crazy. No, don't no. Order it offline from the NBA store before you do that. Heck no, don't do that, Zach. That's insane. That's crazy. I literally 3 of my jerseys cost that. What are your thoughts on the OG trade? The Toronto Raptors definitely won that one. No questions asked. They definitely won that one. The not to say that the Knicks lost the trade, but the simple fact of the matter is OG, I guess he's a more defined third piece than RJ Barrett. To me, RJ Barrett was a potential 1/2 guy. And you had a lot of situations where you had Jalen Brunson come in and then he became the 1. And Julius Randle was a 2. And then sometimes one of them will be missing. And you have to have him awkwardly like step up or step down depending on who was on the court. So he never really had a defined role. I think going back home to Canada, right? He's from Canada originally, will help his game. I think that they know what they're doing. I think that him being the number 2 alongside Scotty Barnes is going to be the best thing for him in his career, really to recent memory. So I think the fit for them is a lot better. And they got Emmanuel Quickley, who's one of the best backup point guards in the league. So in that sense, it just makes the most sense to me that they continue on as they have, and they got better. They still have Dennis Schroeder. He's having a rocky season. Honestly, it was kind of unexpected considering the way he played international ball. But yeah, I think that because of the ideal fit between RJ Barrett on Toronto and the fact that he's actually from Canada is going to benefit them more. And now he's going to have a defined role where, hey, you're the number 2 guy, because Pascal Siakam is also supposed to be getting traded expectantly. So you have him being told he's going to be that second guy. That said, OG's a good pickup. I don't know if you should have had to give. They didn't value RJ obviously as high as I personally do. I'm an RJ Barrett believer. So for that reason, I think that really it could have been a 1-for-1 trade because RJ Barrett is going to play better with Toronto than he did with the Knicks. That's a given for me personally. When it comes to OG, he's more of a defined third guy, a defined second-ish, third-ish guy, right? Reliable, great defense, going to be there for a long time. That helps them get better, but the fact that they also gave up their backup point guard, who was one of the best in the league, as Emmanuel Quickley, kind of rough. I think that's the biggest regression mark for them because now their bench takes a bit of a hit. Obviously, OG is going to be stepping into the starting role, but you're going to have to put a lot of trust into some guys to get the job done. And it's warranted at times, but I don't know if you would want that. You said who would be a realistic good piece to add to the team? Honestly, the way they played tonight, I can't give you a solid person. I would love to have. Oh, what am I talking about? I'm gonna make a video about it. Lonzo Ball. Now the thing is, right? There's 2 things that the Utah Jazz have to determine now. Number 1, who are the core pieces, and number 2, if Keontae George is part of that core, what do you think his ceiling is? Is the Keontae we saw a game ago that shot extremely well from the field and extremely well from 3? Is that the ceiling Keontae George that we're going to have? He's not a great playmaker for others. He's not a great table setter, but he's going to be a solid scorer. Is that the one guy that you want to put in control and give the keys to the franchise to run the train eventually? Pause. Um, if not, how do you want to do it? Do you want a traditional table setting point guard? Because Chris Dunn, obviously, at 29, 30-ish now, he's not going to be there for forever. And your guys are young. So I would say you want a younger player. And if Lonzo, in my opinion, great defender. I've been a lover of Lonzo since, honestly, when the Ball brothers first hopped on the screen. So great defense, great playmaking, great three-point shooting. The only thing he doesn't do is shoot well inside the arc and attack the basket. But three-point shooting and layups is the name of the game these days. And Lonzo, at his best, is an elite point guard defender, right? Like Chris Dunn's elite, in my opinion. But Lonzo, having a longer wingspan and being lankier, having the ability to get himself into positions and recover from positions that Chris Dunn physically cannot, I like Lonzo. I like him better than Keontae George, right? Because I know what Lonzo is. And this is if Lonzo comes back, because remember, his thing was a cartilage issue, and he got a little bit of a cleanup surgery and whatnot. So if that remains the same, let me trade for Lonzo Ball, because his marketability is not going to be that high, because everybody doesn't expect him to come back and be such a great player. I don't need him to be elite. But if he can come back and he can be the same player he was before he left, borderline all-NBA level defense, elite playmaking for his teammates, an elite three-point shooting, it doesn't get much better than that, in my opinion. In my opinion, of course. Now, other people feel like, the Titus or Tyus Jones. To me, they're not quite as offensively talented or skilled enough, and they can't really get their own shot off as comfortably enough to be, in my opinion, a perfect starting point guard. But if you want to go the route of eventually moving Keontae as a starter and then having a reliable table setter on the bench, sure, go ahead. Me personally, give me Lonzo Ball. The cost isn't going to be that high. It's not like, how they're talking about Zach LaVine. No. Lonzo's been out for 2 years. Who's to say he's going to get cleared? Who's to say he's ready? You know what I'm saying? I would like it. That's my mindset on the whole thing, though. Anyways, Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, do the quality in there. I'll trust that they had to have been quality at the very least, Zach. He said, I think it's pretty even who won the trade, since especially after tonight, since all the Knicks really lost was quickly, who they weren't going to pay anyways, and they needed a more defensive wing. That is a fair point. I don't think that they were gonna pay quickly. So that would be a good reason to go ahead and ship him off if the offer presented itself, and it did. And it's also the Knicks are likely going to get a start too. I would be interested to see who they decide to fit in there. Great win tonight. Proud of the guys. Absolutely epic. You already know, man. RJ just didn't fit well with the team, yeah. They do still have Grimes and the other backup guards, so it would be risky giving Emmanuel quickly a huge contract when you're contending, in my opinion. But yeah, fair point. Quickly's contract is expiring and the Knicks don't want to pay him. Yeah. One realistic piece I would say is Tyus Jones. Okay, so yeah, there it is. He's the only one holding the Wizards team from being the worst ever. He said, wait, we beat them. Oh yeah, we handled business, Koozie. We stood on business against the Mavs. Yo, like that. Great game from Clarkson. Hopefully the team offers a good package for him. Think he should still be traded. I'm willing to respect that. Just tapped in, immaculate. Yeah, honestly, Clarkson's up and down. I'm up in the air about it. Definitely entertain trades. You're going to have to empty out your guard stables to a certain degree at one point, right? Because right now you have 6 guys that are all capable players in the NBA, and they're not always going to have great nights, but you're going to have to live with some of them playing and other ones not playing. And if that's the case, let Jordan Clarkson be free, in my opinion, between him and THT, because the only issue is he's a fan favorite. He hasn't really been efficient this season, and that's the biggest issue with him. Shooting low 30s from the field and from the three-point line isn't going to get you wins, especially on high shot attempts. But he's the only guy left. He's the only relic really from the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert era. It's something it means something to fans. I'll say that. He said, funnily enough, during the ascent of Donovan Mitchell, I kept looking around for an ideal point guard for him. And the answer I kept getting is Lonzo Ball. But as you said, his health is the biggest red flag. Yeah. With Tyus Jones, I like him because he does hit the three pretty deep clip. His playmaking is certainly underrated. He's really far along in that regard. Yeah, I would agree with you on that one, Epic, for sure. Lonzo's health is something I partially blame the Bulls organization on. Ain't the first time one of their players suffer like this. Bingo. I'm just glad he's healing. They said he's supposed to be running in this month. Now that we're in January, so I'm looking forward to that. How did Luka get locked up? Just did, man. Also, they said that he was holding his quad, so it didn't look like he was his perfect, normal, healthy self. But on top of that, people played good defense. And combine a not 100% feeling superstar and great defense by the other team, and you have, a recipe for a 30% shooting night. He was 6 of 20 from the field. Another fit is Monte Morris. He's hurt right now, but he's not very pricey. That's an interesting one. We all agree that Clarkson might and even should get traded, but his status as a fan favorite and likely locker room glue is going to make it hard. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Mind you, I'm implying that we trade THT for these guys. Okay, I got you, Epic. Yeah. Just one of those things, man. It's really only a matter of time that we get to see what happens because the trade deadline is slowly but fastly enough approaching to where you have to look over your shoulder and say, well, what's about to happen here? Because it stands to reason it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be big for some guys. Some guys obviously some guys over others, but still big nevertheless. Big nevertheless. For sure. Wah, wah, wah. Yep. We said, I agree, Sexton 16 minutes eventually something has to change. Can't sit guys nightly because others are playing well. Got to get them on the court, especially Sexton. He's a big reason for the wins. Yeah. I'm willing to entertain them not playing Sexton significantly because he did start the game out shooting as poorly as he did. He was 2 of 8 in the 16 minutes that he played. In the 8 and then almost 19 minutes that he played. He was 2 of 8, missed all 3 of his 3-pointers, was 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 3 boards, 6 assists to only 1 turnover. So he played a good game. The issue was when they subbed him out and Clarkson came in, Clarkson played a better game. And that's the biggest issue that you run into when you have a bunch of guards on your roster and a lot of guys that can really just ball. Because on the off chance that one of them doesn't shoot well, if you put the other one in and he's playing really well, it's going to be hard to pull him out and put the guy that wasn't shooting well back in the game. Now, Clarkson got the nod a lot more than I think he should have in the beginning of the season, but we're finally seeing a world where if Clarkson plays bad, he sees the bench. If Sexton plays bad, he sees the bench. Rightfully so across the board. The only man that should be almost borderline exempt from such treatment is probably Lowry, just because of who he is to this team and how important he is and how much he pushes the needle. You said y'all ready to get Gideon, Bertans, and picks? Ew. Why doesn't Sexton start again? No, he does. He does finally. Yeah. Past what? 8, 9, 9-ish? Maybe even 10 games, low-key. That chase for a triple-double, those actions haven't elicited jeers from Westbrook critics. Clarkson, the whole team mobbed and congratulated him. That shows love. Yeah. Definitely expecting the Jazz to not necessarily sell hard. I think they still want to get that pick to OKC. Personally, I'm still a believer in this team. I believe they have playoff potential. Most definitely. Me and you are on the same page, I think. Yep. Yeah, him as a fan favorite definitely makes it hard, but they have to figure something out with the playing time because it eventually become a problem eventually. Yup. Right now, THT is the quiet sacrifice. He is the quiet sacrifice right now. How many picks do the Jazz need? Already have a ton of them? Yeah. Allows him to make a lot of shots in the dark, though. I'll say that. Tough shooting night for him. Yeah. Just one of those things with time. Says Sexton has to low key be an all star level player for the last 11 games. Yeah. And this is just who he is. That's the craziest thing. Because this is not a new version of Colin Sexton. This isn't some insanely, surprisingly branded thing. He's not being put in any particularly special situation to succeed. He's just succeeding. Like this is just him. These are the shots he was taking when he was in Cleveland. He's a better playmaker, I would argue, now than he was when he was in Cleveland. He's just doing the right things and setting guys up to succeed. And to me, that's just important. You said, did you see the Pistons breaking the streak recently? Yeah, and they finally got one back. They finally got back into the winning category. That was a big thing for them. Most definitely. Oh, wow. I just saw a comment for, I'm guessing this is one of my YouTube shorts, talking about Taylor Hendricks making a difference. And they said Taylor Hendricks is a bust already. I'm not ready to say that. I don't think Taylor Hendricks is a bust. I don't think that it's difficult to explain this to some people that don't view it through the same lens, I suppose. That's what I'm saying. People saying Taylor Hendricks is a bust already. Pete said Keontae, yes sir. The thing is, I don't think Taylor Hendricks is a bust. He hasn't gotten a fair shake yet. They act like he started half the season and he's played. They act like he's had the leash that Jordan Clarkson had this season, where he started like 19 games, all 19 games that he played in to start the season, and then got like just shot terribly, right? They're treating it like that. And I don't agree. Call me crazy. I just don't agree. This is my take on Taylor Hendricks, and I'll let it be known. I think Taylor Hendricks has the ceiling of Kawhi Leonard. As crazy as I sound saying that, I think that's his ceiling. He has the defensive versatility. He has the ability to be a lockdown 1 through 4 and give a couple fives tough work. It's not going to be easy against him, right? Immaculate help side defense, right? No matter what. On the same side of that, you have to understand that his offensive game is going to take some developing. A lot of people were like, oh, he's playing in the G League? Oh my God, he must be trash. He must not be like that, because why wouldn't they not play him on this team? Earlier in the season when the Jazz were sucking, and they were like, oh, if he's not playing now, he must just not be a good player. It's like, bro, hold on. He's just not ready. He's not the player they need him to be to play minutes. Keontae George fit better the mold that they wanted. And Keontae George was healthy during the summer league. Taylor Hendricks and Bryce Sensabaugh were both injured. They weren't prepared. They weren't healthy. They couldn't get any burn. So what do? When they finally get healthy? You put them in games that are somewhere in between college and NBA level. What is that? The G League. 15 first-round picks from this year's draft have played a game in the G League. The G League is not a bad thing. It's a development thing. It's about making that player better. Taylor Hendricks, most of his offensive game was either spot up threes, which he does well, right? He hits threes at a high enough clip to respect it. But the other side of it was back the basket at the rim. And at the NBA level, that's not really what you want, especially if you're going to eventually play him on the court alongside Walker Kessler. Walker's going to be more so at the rim than Taylor is. And you don't want Taylor to be John Collins, right? You don't want him to just be able to shoot threes and then occasionally dribble at the rim. You want him to be able to do other things. So what does he have to do? Work on a face-up game. Where can he do that? We don't have time to do that on the NBA roster because we still have Kelly Olynyk. We still have John Collins. He hasn't been traded yet. We still have Lowry. We still have Fontecchio. We still have all these guys, right? We still have Abaji. We have all these guys that can run the forward in the center spots. So the minutes just aren't there for him. So let him cook in the G League. And then when he's ready and we trade away John Collins, right, there will finally be minutes for him to make mistakes and get better and get that NBA experience. The only reason he got pulled up and got to play earlier was because what? Injuries. Similar with THT's finally breaking out. He was decent enough off the bench alongside Colin Sexton. He has some rough games, has some decent games. Then they started him alongside Colin Sexton, and he finally exploded again. And it was like, oh, this was the THT we thought we were going to see at the beginning of the season. Then he got hurt, so he didn't get an opportunity. It's just not to say that people are casuals, but it becomes very irritatingly boneheaded when some people are like, oh, he's a bust. Oh, he's trash, because they have a bad 20-game stint, or because they're put in a certain situation where they're not afforded the opportunity to make the mistakes that other great players do, or other guys in their same age bracket, age group, whatever the case may be, draft class even. Give them a minute. Get a decent sample size, then call them a bust. And when I say, why are you calling them a bust? Then you can explain it to me. Well, he's taking roughly three-pointers per game, and he's played over a third of the season, and he's hitting them at a 26% clip. That's pretty bad for a guy that was supposed to be a really good three-point shooter in college. That's the stance you can take. Is that the case? No. Is he playing terrible defense? Because he's not. Defense is his calling card. Don't forget. Defense, and then they're trying to make him into an offensive player. Put them together, two-way star. Not a superstar, perhaps, but a star, right? Is his offensive game up to standard? No. Defensively, is he already there? I would argue so. So many people just sit there and say, oh, he's a bust because he doesn't score. It's irritating because it's almost on par with people that say because you get a lot of steals, you're a good defender. No. You're not an all-NBA caliber defender just because you average 2 or 3 steals a night. That just means you have active hands and somebody keeps turning the ball over. Now, is it more likely that you're a better defender if you have more steals and blocks? Yes, absolutely. But it does not guarantee that you're great at the job. It just means you have the numbers. That's all it is. For Pete's sake, in last year's playoffs, somebody tried to tell me that Devin Booker is an elite defender. I said, you're smoking crack. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. That was very harsh. I said that they were out of line. Because to me, is Devin Booker improved? Yes, largely because he had Chris Paul on the roster. No, Chris Paul, Devin Booker is not like that. The only reason Devin Booker has any sense of ego is because everybody in Phoenix kept saying he's the star of the team. He's the engine. He's the guy that keeps it going. He could never get them in the playoffs until Chris Paul got there and made them a playoff team. He had DeAndre Ayton before then, and they couldn't get it done. You bring CP3 in, they become a playoff team. And now you want to tell me that Devin Booker is better than Anthony Edwards. Get out of my face. Be so for real. I'm not picking Devin Booker over Donovan Mitchell. Much less almost borderline 50, 40, 90 Anthony Edwards with lockdown defense, genuine lockdown defense, leading a team that was supposed to be Karl Anthony Towns. Devin Booker's not cut like that. Respectfully, of course. He's still offensive. He's got an offensive bag that, puts him top 20 in the league, in my opinion. Top 25 as a player overall. But need I say more? Just because you have a great defensive numbers just because you have a lot of steals doesn't make you a great elite defender. You're not. Because there's some guys that average 1.3, 1.4 steals a game. And they'll lock excuse my language, but they'll lock your shit up. Chris Dunn, elite defender. Does he average 2 steals a game? No. Why? Because he doesn't play a lot of minutes. He also doesn't. That's not the main point of his defense. The point of your defense is to create turnovers, force missed shots. There's going to be guys that force missed shots and it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. That Taylor Hendricks is one of those guys, right? Rudy Gobert averages a lot of blocks. But the reason why people love Rudy Gobert isn't because he just has a superb number of blocks. It's because the percentage of the lower number, frustration. The level of the high level of shooting that most people would shoot at the rim significantly decreases when they shoot on him. But you need advanced analytics to understand that. So there's going to be other guys that average almost as many blocks as a Rudy Gobert, as a Walker Kessler. But they're not as good rim protectors because, yeah, you might block me 2 times out of the night. But if I go at your head 30 times and you block 2 of them, but I'm still shooting 60% at the rim, you're not doing anything. You just got 2 good blocks. You're a clown. Two blocks out of 30 attempts. Yeah, let me do the math real quick. Hold on. Let me ask good old Google. Let me ask good old Google before, you block 6% of the shots at the rim. Would that make you a great defender? But he averages 2 blocks. No. So let's stop the bus talk about guys that haven't had the opportunity to genuinely put forth their best effort and have genuine NBA minutes. Let them get a good sample size and judge them because of that. Ausar Thompson, proving to be a future star in the league, in my opinion, for the Pistons. The Pistons suck, but he's putting up good numbers. Are they empty sets because he's on the Pistons? Would he still be able to do those on a playoff caliber team? Who's to say? I don't think his numbers are fraudulent, though. But are we going to sit there and say his twin brother, Amen, is terrible because he's been injury prone the entire season, barely played, and got sent to the G League to get some reps? Are we going to call him a bust too? Because by the Taylor Hendricks logic, we should call him a bust because he's not playing much in the league. He suffered from injury. But we're not, are we? So let's be fair. Let's be fair. That's all. Let's be fair. Call a spade, man. Well, yeah, sorry. That was my little rant for the evening. Let me get back in these comments for you gentlemen. Taylor Hendricks' defense is real. I'd agree. One of the only rookies who's actually had a positive impact. Dude hasn't made many mistakes yet. Exactly. And it's not like he's shooting a significant number of shot attempts in the games that he did end up playing, and he's just trash. He's not shooting a lot. And, if you take 3 shot attempts and you go 1 for 3, of course your shooting percentage is going to be 33%. Doesn't mean you're a terrible shooter. It just means you only had 3 damn shot attempts. It happens. Wait till he has a compilation of 8 to 14-ish shot attempt nights. Pile up 10 of those. And then say, okay, on over 100 shot attempts, over a 10-game sample size, he's shooting this number. I think this, if we were to extrapolate it across the entirety of a season, it doesn't look great for him. If that's the argument you want to have, you can have it. But allow the numbers to present themselves first. Don't assume that you're right. There's no numbers to back you up. So what are we talking about? Yeah. Him as a 9th pick should have been getting more run than Keontae, in my opinion. I would agree with you, Incognito. The only thing is, it was situationally based. Because they needed a point guard and a table setter with the absence of, obviously, Mike Conley and them just trying to decide what direction they want to go in, and Keontae being the only one that got to play during Summer League, it put him in a position to where they needed a point guard, and he fit the mold a little bit better. And he played so well in the Summer League. They were like, he might be ready to go right now. Now, admittedly, he wasn't ready to start, but they still felt more comfortable doing that. Whereas, obviously, you have your Kelly Olynyk, you have your Larry Markins, you have your John Collins, you have your Walker Kesslers, you have Omer, you're at 7, right? That's 5 guys right there. And Omer doesn't even play like that for real. You have Fontecchio, that's 6, and that's assuming you don't put Abaji as a forward. That puts him at least like lower on the depth chart. So could he come to every game and dress out? Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like, because he didn't get the preparation previous to the season, it'd be silly to just go ahead and throw him straight into the blazing hot fire. Warm him up by the fireplace first before you take him to an uncontained forest fire, I would say. Not a bust, exactly. Not a bust. In fact, he's short minutes. He made a difference. Exactly. He's one of the few guys where him not playing a lot of minutes and him just not having a lot of numbers to back his name is still reliable. There's not a lot of guys you could say that about. And I think he genuinely, even though I genuinely don't defend people like that, but I would say for him specifically, it does work because I've seen it. I saw a game where he played like 18, 19 minutes and had a rebound and a block. And I was like, how the heck do you play 20 minutes and only have a rebound and a block? Who are you, Tony Snell? You don't know triple zeros across the board? And then I looked at it and I looked back at the tape and I was like, nah, like he's really there. He's really there for real. But deflections are going to pop up on the stat sheet, right? That's not a cared about enough metric. They'll put that in the advanced or just really just by the wayside type of thing. They're not going to talk about with the opponent. They're not going to pop up the opponent field goal percentage allowed in the box score. That just doesn't happen. I'm a proponent. I'm a big defense guy. So that's another reason why I'm willing to say that he's not a bust yet, because I'm big on defense. You can teach offense. You can teach somebody to make a jumper. You can't teach somebody to, you can try and teach people to be in position and make proper position, but it takes a certain mindset and a certain mental processor to get yourself in that position. There's some guys where no matter how much effort they give on defense, they will not be a plus defender because their brain just doesn't put them in positions to make the proper reads of plays. And that's just who they are. You can't teach that processor. Same reason you can't teach height. If one guy's 6'9" and another guy's 6'4", the 6'9" guy has better defensive potential because he's what? Longer and rangier. You can't teach that. You can't stretch Mr. 6'4" out. You can't turn Chris Dunn into Taylor Hendricks. You can't turn him into Larry Markkinen. You can't just put him on a stretch board and just grind him out. You know what I'm saying? I wish you could sometimes, but that's not how the world works. It would be too easy. You said, bro, I swear to God, these casual fans don't get defense at all. Like, I don't understand how people can watch Hendricks fuel our defense and Kawhi comparisons. Low-key true. Just lack of ball handles. Yeah, that's his bit. That would be the biggest thing. That's why I consider his ceiling to be Kawhi, because I think that he could have the offensive face-up game of a Kawhi Leonard. It's not, because Kawhi's bag isn't super crazy, right? The most he has is what? A spin move, a double between the legs. Like, it's not crazy. And realistically, he doesn't even need that to be integral to the success of the team, because he's already a great defender. Great defender, continue to be a good three-point shooter, improve as a three-point shooter, and just have a little bit of a driving game to you. If you can give me 12 to 15-ish with elite defense, you're basically what John Collins was supposed to be when we brought him in. John Collins was supposed to reach a 20 and 10 guy level and bring good defense. Lackluster defense, 15 points, 8 boards. That's what we got out of it. And I don't hate it, but for the money, it's a little expensive, right? And that's why we're trading him, or why we're looking to trade him. You get Taylor Hendricks almost borderline at that level already. The only reason he hasn't played is because we just don't think he's ready yet, and we don't have the minutes to give him. That's the biggest thing. It's not that he's just trash. We just don't have the minutes. The reason why Taylor Horton Tucker didn't play today, it's not because he's trash. He was playing darn good before he got injured again. It's because we don't have the minutes for him. That's the issue. He said, Boogeyman gets home. He checks under the bed for Taylor Hendricks. That guy, you're a fool. He said, I'd say if they're calling a 20-year-old a bust because he has 5 guys in front of him in the rotation, they're kind of casual. LOL. Hendricks is going to be him. I mean, I try to avoid from calling some people casuals because they take it in such a negative context. Casual isn't really a negative thing. It just means you're a general fan of a team. You love the team, or you like the team, but you don't love them enough to be fully invested in them. Like, you don't live and breathe whatever that sport is or whatever that particular team is. And that's fine. Being a casual is not a bad thing, but being a casual is crazy to sit there and call somebody something that they're not and then say it like you genuinely believe it. Like, that's crazy. Like, you haven't watched a game. You've watched 3 out of the 35 plus games we've played all season. These 34 games we played all season. And you're going to tell me that Colin Sexton can't pass. Well, that tells me you haven't been watching the games, because over the past 15 to 17 games, he's become a significantly better passer. That'd be like telling me Fontecchio can't shoot. Well, since he's been starting and whatnot, he's been shooting not only well, but in copious amounts. He's been shooting a lot of threes and pretty efficiently. So that tells me you haven't watched the games. But if you say it in a way that makes it sound like you think you know what you're talking about and you're so affirmative and to the point, it's like, bro, shut up, grab a bowl of popcorn, sit on the couch, buy a league pass, and watch a game rewind. And then say that stupid statement again. I promise you won't. You'll come back with an amended contest. And we don't even want an apology. Just come correct. Speak properly of players. That's all. That's all. I think people expect way too much out of rookies now. Like people forget how project players work. Paul George, for example, took years to figure out. Same with Giannis and Embiid, etc. Exactly. Exactly. Or if you get a lot of assists, you're not selfish. Exactly. Bingo. Incognito. You hit it with that one. Phoenix sucks this year. They're struggling, just like I said they would. If you go back to any one of my side note, if you go back to any one of my Phoenix Suns videos, before I tailored this channel specifically to the Jazz fans, I told them depth, defense, injuries. They said I was stupid. They said I was a casual. They said I didn't watch their basketball last year. I said I watched every single one of your playoff games last year. I didn't. I was capping. But I saw enough of them and I saw the highlights. And then I went back and watched some more game tape to make sure I wasn't crazy. Because I was like, my rule of thumb is always believe you're right. But be willing to entertain the possibility that you are wrong. Because you're not always going to be right. So if somebody says, this person is a good shooter, you just haven't seen enough of a good sample size. I'm going to go back and watch whatever. If you have a certain game that you think they shot really well in, or they moved really well off ball, or they really table set the floor for everybody, or they really played great defense, tell me what game it was. I'll go back and watch that game from start to finish every minute they're on the floor. And if I change my opinion, I'll say, you know, you were right. I see what you saw. But if I don't see it, I'm going to tell you just like it was. And that was the whole argument that we had about Devin Booker. And they were telling me, oh, they're not going to. I had my editor, Sachin, create a whole chart talking about their injuries over the past season. They said I was crazy for doing that. Look at us now. Bradley Beal has played 2.5 quarters this entire season. There hasn't been a big three. They've started 2 games with a big three, and then both of them without one. Devin Booker's missed a couple games. So now you're forcing Kevin Durant to come over here, and he picked the team he wanted to go to. He picked the guys, the top of the echelon guys that he wanted, and it didn't work again. It happened in Brooklyn, right? It didn't work. Now he's here. It's not working. Devin Booker might be the most cursed player in NBA history. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm not gonna say he thinks he's LeBron. That's crazy to say. That's very disrespectful. Actually, I apologize. He puts himself into LeBron-esque situations where people say GM, but LeBron builds teams. LeBron is the hub of the system. Kevin Durant is not the hub of the system. He's a cog in the machine. When he was with Golden State, could you say he was the best player individually? Yes. He was more defensively versatile than Stephen Curry. But was he the most important to that team? Absolutely not. He was not the MVP of that team. Steph Curry was. That team goes as Steph Curry does. They added Kevin Durant to get past LeBron. That's how crazy LeBron was at his peak. And to think that he's still averaging 25 plus and it's not his peak is insane. But now we're seeing a Phoenix Suns team that Kevin Durant wanted to go to. They thought was great. They added depth. And I actually, back when I said, they added depth pieces. If everybody stays healthy, they're a legitimate contender. Guys can't stay healthy. They're not a legitimate contender. But I was crazy for saying that injuries and defense was the problem. Well, they gave up 130. They gave 129 and 133, or 129 and 132 in games back-to-back against the Utah Jazz early in the season, when the Jazz weren't completely healthy and our best lineups weren't even in the game. You can't convince me that you gave an ailing Utah Jazz team, you spotted them almost 300 points across 2 games. And you're going to tell me that you have good defense. Shut up. You don't. You don't have health. You don't have good defense. I was right. Not to toot my own horn, but to do it. Because apparently I didn't know what I was talking about. Apparently I'm a casual. I didn't watch the games. I did. I pored over the clinical literature. I read over the numbers. That's what I do. I don't come on here and even now creating content for the Utah Jazz, I didn't just hop on here and just start spouting nonsense. I watched tape. I went over numbers from last year. I went over numbers from the year before. I went over all of Jordan Clarkson's numbers. Everybody's. To make it make sense. It's not hard. Just try it. Just try it. He said, W take. Yeah. Man's popping off. I agree with everything you say. I appreciate that, Zach. I try to be fair. I try to be fair. Edwards only got into the playoffs with a play at MVP Pat Bev. I'm weak. Is that what he starts and plays more than a lottery pick? Once Lowry gets traded, he'll probably get more minutes. I hope Lowry doesn't get traded, though, man. Larry isn't moved. The only reason Hendricks isn't playing is because he got to figure out the Collins Olynyk. Yeah, I'm up in the air about Olynyk low key because Olynyk's such a good player. Sometimes he's just extremely foul prone, and it's like, if I trade Collins, will I have enough minutes for Taylor Hendricks? Do I have to trade Kelly Olynyk? Because I kind of really like Kelly Olynyk. Do I have to trade him? The guard position, I have to get rid of somebody. Forwards, I have to get rid of somebody. And Collins is making himself the easy out. So I'm low-key going to do that. Jordan Clarkson is making himself, at times, the guard that's the easy out. But are we ready to do that? Because that's a culture thing at the same time. He's the only guy that's been there for more than 2 years. I don't know. Or three years. Because I think he was 1920 season. Yeah. Bad basketball IQ, James Wiseman comes to mind. Fair point. Trust the process with OKC. Yeah. They've been tanking for years and still only have one All-Star. Fair. Obviously, though, Presti has been a phenomenal GM. Yeah. Imagine Tecchio with 25 pounds more muscle on him. He'd be He-Man out here. D-Book thinks he's Kobe every time. Boy, I tell you. Yeah, they were ready to make the contend. That's why they should try and get another star like Lowry to take them to full contender status. OKC's nice. Yeah, they are. And I'd say the biggest difference between OKC last year and OKC this year, like Lou Dort hasn't taken a major step forward. What's his name? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is still playing at the top of his game. He can't get much better individually. I think the guy that made the biggest difference was Chet. Chet playing this year makes the difference for this team. Could he use a little bit more muscle to his frame? Absolutely. But, his bag? Not to talk for him, but his bag is low-key deep. It's deeper than I thought it was. Like, yes, he's had a year in the NBA. Ben Simmons had the same thing, but Ben Simmons was I don't look at Chet the same way I look at Ben Simmons. Like, Chet, obviously, he's still skinnier than Ben Simmons and all that, but he's more offensively polished. Like, low-key, he's more offensively polished than Wemby is. Defensively, I'd probably still lean Wemby. But offensively, Chet kind of got that. He's got more Kevin Durant in him than Wemby does. Like in wiggle, as far as wiggle, the way he moves his body, the shot selection that he takes. And part of that's also scheme because the Spurs need to figure out what the heck they're doing with Wemby. There's no way Wemby should ever go a game not scoring 10 points. You mean to tell me in 48 minutes you couldn't find five lobs to the rim to a man who's 7, whose wingspan standing allows him to grab the rim? You mean to tell me you couldn't find 5 lobs? Be so for real. As the ladies say, be effing for real. Because I don't see it. Let me see. He said OKC's nice and they can do that. Yeah. Wait, who won the OG trade? I lean I leaned towards Toronto just because while OG is going to help the Knicks and he is obviously used to being that third type of guy, I think that since Pascal Siakam's probably going to get traded this before the deadline, you're looking at a Toronto team that just got their home nation player and RJ Barrett back home, and he's going to finally be able to be a convincing number 2, and his role isn't going to move, so he's going to be allowed to learn, grow, and develop into the person that he wants to be instead of fluctuating on a nightly basis based on who's playing and who's not. Since Utah's rebuilding him, I don't know if Lowry will stay. Lowry says he wants to stay, but if Danny trades him, it would kind of make me sad. I do like your consistency with takes. No disrespect to James Hansen, but he does flip-flop a lot, stay in the right path. Yeah. My biggest thing is, regardless of what happens, stand on what you say, man. You don't got to agree with anything anybody says, but you should always understand it. So somebody could sit there and look me dead in my eyes and tell me, I don't know, random point guard. Damian Lillard is the greatest point guard of all time. I would just stare at them, waiting for them to go on and explain why the heck they think that. Because I want to understand the thought process. I don't agree, and I probably would never agree. There's no context where I could imagine that being possible. But I do want to understand why somebody's brain works a certain way and why they have a certain take. Because I can apply that logic to something else that actually makes sense for me personally. I don't have to agree with them. I'll be like, hey, agree to disagree. But why do you say that? And then based on what they say and what they stand on, as long as they stand on the points and don't change flip-flop all the time, we're cool. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. Fontecchio. Wow. Lowry loves Utah. Yeah. Triple double. Yes, sir. What up, Cam? OKC technically been only tanking since 2021. They almost made the playoffs last year. True. True. Honestly, equal. Knicks honestly could go out and get Spider since they have all their picks and such. I could see it. I don't know how likely it is. It seems like it's cooling off or it's becoming too generic. It's not cool to talk about him going to the Knicks. I don't really know what the whole thing is with it. I think the Knicks won. The Barrett contract is bad. The thing is, I think RJ Barrett will fulfill his contract with his home nation. I find it hard to believe that he'll go home and be a defined number 2 on the roster and underperform. Like if that happens, he might actually be cooked, low key. Like low key. But I'm willing to entertain and give him the opportunity to prove that he's not that guy. Because I don't think the Knicks properly set him in position to do that job. Because you had nights where now they're on the Jalen Brunson train, right? But before you had nights where Julius Randle was supposed to be the big guy and RJ Barrett was supposed to be the number 2. Then it was like, oh, wait, no, Jalen Brunson's the number 1 guy and Julius Randle's the number 2. And they kept flip-flopping. So RJ Barrett was in like tumultuous waters where it's like, does he have the right to take over a game? Is he allowed to take over a game? Or is he just playing the second fiddle to so-and-so over here? And I think when he goes up there for Toronto, that will really be the determining factor between what he is and what he isn't. But yeah, I don't hate the trade for either team, by the way. You said I like the OG trade for both teams. Yeah, I think the next one. I feel like both teams got better. I would say that. I would agree. Both teams did get better. I think that the Raptors getting Emmanuel quickly also out of the deal was it. It seems like it's fair now, but I think if RJ Barrett plays to his genuine potential, they low key fleece him. Not to the degree that we did when we traded Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland, right? I don't think they got 2 All-Stars back, but I do think that RJ Barrett will be a better player. But OG has a more defined role that he's always had, so he's just going to carry that and plug it in. And they needed a wing defender, right? And he's going to be efficient. He's not going to do anything crazy, but he's going to be solid. He's going to be reliable, and that's what you needed. And he's always going to be the same player. You're never going to expect him to be. You're not going to expect him to play like a number 1 option or play like a number 2. He's always going to be that solid number 3 option, and he'll give you the same numbers all the time. It's reliable. Well, Utah is pretty much where OKC was last year in a lot of ways. With the fat to trim in Utah, while OKC is even more assets, though. Fair. Keep Lowry too good to tank as long as Kessler is here, in my opinion. You bring up a fair point, James. Said honestly, yeah, the trade is basically for OG and quickly. Yeah. I think he'll shine as a starter. I think he'll be. I'm not sure. I want to say he's a fringe all-star. He will become a fringe all-star player, if not this season, next season. Because if he can't win there, I don't know where it'll go. Let's see. Did your take on JC change after seeing how he's been playing as of late? He's put me up in the air. I'll say that. Nice. It'd be nice next to Dick Toronto. I'm up in the air about it because I feel like we still have to shop him because he's still inconsistent. He's still up and down, up and down, up and down. It's more consistently inconsistent to where it's been like borderline every other game he's having a good game, but it's still every other game. You would ideally prefer to have somebody that has a good game every game or a decent game every game, not a really good game, then a really bad game, then a really good game, then a really bad game. Like you don't really want to rely on that. So in that mindset, I would understand why people would say no. I'm still shopping him. I'm still fringe. Like he's a culture guy. That's the biggest part. And I think I'm still going to shop him though. That being said, as long as it's a good return, I'm not going to trade him for like somebody trash and then a second round draft pick. That's not happening. No, I need something decent. Scotty and quickly. Knicks really got better. They beat the best defense in the league today. Oh, OG was cooking today. Hey, Nick's cook. Also, when you become a millionaire with 4 billion subscribers, expect the check gang. Cam, I never forgot you, man. That's all I'm gonna say, man. I never forgot you, twin. Nah, man, look, don't let me touch 1 million subs. I won't know how to act. I might start hitting the Dougie on Cam. On some word to John Wall. I can't even dance. Yeah, I'd be hype. If I can when I not if when I can make a living off doing YouTube, I'll be hype. I'll be hype. I'm not gonna say there's not. I'm not gonna say it. But what's the video? Nothing will be said. There will be no announcement, but there will be signs. You'll see me come on here with a velvet robe one day. Just fold my leg over the other. It's gonna be purple with gold on the brim of the what's it called, on the neck area. On the neck area of it, like that's the sign you're gonna see. It's gonna have like a gold jazz logo right here on the chest. Like, where you get that? I say it's custom. I can't even tell you. Merch drop coming soon. That's what I hit it with. That'd be tough though. That'd be tough. Wishful thinking. Hey Tyson, I never forget. Loki think Utah should only trade Clarkson if they're getting a first round or something better. He's not a consolidation type asset in my opinion. His efforts have been a bit underrated. Yes, I'm willing to agree with that. I think trade Clarkson, Olynyk, Collins if you can get assets. Olynyk's the hardest one for me to let go of out of the three because Olynyk's done the least amount wrong. Like his biggest issue is literally his foul proneness, which is crazy. Like he's a great passer. He's a great rebounder. He's a good 3-point shooter. The only thing he's not great at is locking up on defense. He's a little bit foul prone. He's going to give effort, right? He's just going to also simultaneously give you a couple fouls. And that's not perfect, but it's going to happen at some point. Clarkson for a first rounder? No. Merch? I don't know. Does anybody know a site that does merch? I would love to do merch. Low key. Especially now that I've passed 1,000 subs. I mean, I obviously, like all 1,000 people aren't going to participate and get some merch, but like I think merch would be low key fire. Anybody know anybody that does merch or any websites that do merch that they would like to suggest? I'd definitely be interested in them. Olynyk is super important piece of the team. He's a real problem, and he's a front of rookie that needs minutes. Yeah, that is true. But again, if you trade away John Collins, Kelly Olynyk's fine coming off the bench. I think that if you're going to start, what you call it? If you're going to start John Collins like they have been because of his contract, once he gets traded away, go ahead and give Taylor Hendricks the minutes as a starter and see how he performs. Worst case scenario, you sub in Kelly Olynyk like you have been for Collins. Or obviously Walker Kessler. Either way, that's not bad at all. In my opinion, it might be a little bit of an upgrade, at the very least defensively. And if you're taking away shots from where John Collins would have had them, then you're giving shots to obviously whether it be Lowry, whether it be Colin Sexton, whether it be Chris Dunn getting 2 or 3 more shots a night, whatever the case may be, it's going to go. You know what I'm saying? He said, Wraith be like F them school kids when he hits 1,000,000 subs. I'm weak. Dog, if I can do the hell you succeed, bro. I'll fight some merch right now. Let me have them. Man, I gotta I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna see what I can do merch wise though. If anybody has any concepts or designs, either put them in a comment section, I guess, or DM me. If you have me on IG, definitely, or on Twitter, whatever the case may be. Yeah, definitely DM me. Let me know something. Because that's really the next step. Because like I'm monetized. I have a couple members. Become a member if you haven't already. Join the gang. Get the videos early than everybody else. Sometimes I just chat with the members individually to see what I should do next, just to gauge interest on certain ideas, because I do have some crazy thoughts sometimes. I just don't make it out of the drafts thanks to the help of y'all see them like Tatum, Logic, and Lee. Those three lovely gentlemen. But yeah, that's good stuff. Olynyk needs to be traded. Our cap space is going to be eaten by Fontecchio, Dunn, and of marketing. The thing is, I don't think How much do you think Dunn's going to command? Do you think he's going to? I think Dunn's going to be low key easy going. Like obviously he's played well enough to command more money, but he's going for the vet minimum right now. So I can't imagine he would go for more than like 5-ish million because we just don't play him enough minutes to allow him to afford him that. And I don't think he would demand that much at the same time. Fontecchio, he is a European player. I don't know how much money's going to play into it for him specifically, but you do raise up James. Regardless, you raise up a good point. But Collins is the biggest thing. Collins has to go for the money aspect of everything. If Udall can trade him, he wouldn't be shocked if they took on Fournier another deal just to get expiring contracts. True, I could see that potentially happening. You think Pascal is getting traded and where he could possibly get traded to? Pascal is definitely getting traded. Dunn's not going to go for a couple mil. Come on now. I don't think it's going to be double. Like no more than like 9 million. Yeah, I don't think Dunn's going to command that much money. Especially I think this year he's getting what 1. It's like 1.2 because his contract was like 2.5 million across both years, and he got like 750,000 last season. So I think he's like 1 point something this year, low key. We have 40 million in cap at offseason, negative 25 for Lowry. Fontecchio needs at least 10, leaves 5-ish for Dunn. Oh yeah, that's definitely straight. That's definitely straight. And that's if we keep. Is that with us keeping Collins or if we trade Collins away? Let me know. You said Dunn is getting money in the 6 mil range. Tech might get a surprising amount due to his size and shooting alongside defensive passing. He's been insane. Low key. Give me 100K on that. Biggest supporter from my town. Yep, like Kuzi said. That's keeping Collins? Okay, so yeah, so that's a worst case scenario thing. I actually really like that. That's a worst case scenario thing. Best case scenario, you unload Collins and that gives you, what is it? At least, dang, I don't even remember what his contract looks like. That's the saddest part. I just know it's a boatload, low key. It's not insane. Like it's not like 30 million a year, but it's good. It's a good amount. But that definitely gives you more money to work with. Realistically, like that should effectively cover. I think Lowry's amount is somewhere around 25 million, right? Yeah, 25 a year. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. 3 more years too. Perfect. See, I knew my brain was gonna not let me down. Wonder where John Collins would be a good fit at. Like assuming Utah tries to move him. The thing is, I don't know. Some people like there was a Mavericks fan that was like, send him to us, and I was like, fair play. Y'all don't really have a lot of front court depth or a lot of front court ability. You guys aren't particularly known as being a great defensive team to begin with, but I don't know if they would be willing to do that. Like obviously you have my brain's quitting on me. Luka Doncic, you have Kyrie Irving, so those guys eat up money. But what is Lively your next expensive guy? I mean, I guess Tim Hardaway Jr., but I've heard he might go in a trade low key coming. I've heard they might get into the Pascal Siakam sweepstakes, so I don't know how that's gonna go. That should be interesting. It's just kind of up in the air. I don't know. He said, I think he's more contract in a trade rather than a piece. We went to a stud. His contract could be a match, I imagine. Fair. I feel like we could get more for Olynyk than Collins. Absolutely, because Olynyk provides more on the offensive side of the ball, and he's cheaper. So, yeah, I would definitely see that. I don't think anybody's looking to trade for him, but we can trade him out. Yeah. Despite the difficulty of trading John Collins, right? We're not going to get anything crazy in return. We understand that. But at the same time, it's going to be pretty darn hard not to at least get back the, butterscotch candy and mothballs we traded him for, right? Because we traded Rudy Gay and a second-round draft pick. That's not a lot at all. Because Rudy Gay's not doing anything for this roster. If he was still here, if the trade ever happened, Rudy Gay's not doing anything more than John Collins did, right? So I think we could get at least that much back, honestly. That's not crazy to me. Warriors come in with Moody and Kaminga for Olynyk and a second rounder. Are you saying no? That's a good point. That's a good one. Am I saying no? The thing is, I don't love the cum bucket. I'm not the biggest fan of him or Moody, honestly. Um, it's not the worst trade in the world. I wouldn't jump at it personally because I just don't love them as players. I'm not a cum bucket believer. I don't think he's trash, but that man sat there and put out a quote in an interview saying that when the ball's in my hands, I feel like nobody can guard me. In my head, I said the percentages are not in your favor, brother. You come off the bench too. You're lying to yourself. Like delusion is good. Healthy delusion is good, but that's not it. I don't hate that trade though, but I'm just not big on it. I don't know how great the fit would be on this particular roster with these guys. Dream trade that could have been possible with more than 2 second-round picks is Collins for DiVincenzo and Fournier. Yeah, the Knicks probably wouldn't do that. It would be interesting though. It would definitely be interesting. I wonder if we could get Hood Shafino off the Lakers for Olynyk. Do you think that would be? Do you think that he would fit well, James? Talk to me about it. He said, "What I might bite, but the fit will be an issue." Okay, so yeah, Jeff felt the same way. Fit is for sure an issue, but if we're rotating guys to the G League, may as well see if we can get a resurgence from Mood or a cum bucket. Fair. I'm not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. I definitely understand the logic behind it. Most definitely. Yeah. But yeah, man, today was a pretty W stream. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably the best one we've had in a very long time. First or second all time, realistically. He says spread Olynyk minutes to everybody. LMAO. I don't know if it's a perfect fit, but I like his size and passing, at least during the draft. Fair. I can respect that. I'm not mad at that at all. I like the Jalen Hood idea from Lakers for sure. I can respect it. Hate to help them. It is though. Hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, man. The only issue is that obviously when you become a playoff team, you'll see them in the playoffs. That's the only thing. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely understand. For sure. I got the trade machine up right now. THT for Monte Morris. At worst, THT and a second round for Monte. I don't know. I think that's a fair straight up, honestly. Short term help. Long term help, long term damage, maybe. Only get damn hard to replace given his skill set. Yeah. I love that epic. Zach's down with it. Fair. Can't even be mad at it, man. Everybody better smash that like on throwing hands. Hey, man. Fun fact earlier today, literally before the stream, I had a little podcast. I don't know if maybe the card will focus. Wholehearted Entertainment. My guys, some of my friends do a podcast over that way. And I have a podcast of my own, and I was interviewing them this time around. Planning on rebooting mine called The Wraith Study. I think I have it linked in my on my main page. But yeah, trying to get that one started back up. A new flavor, a new style of podcasting and everything. I'm going to have the other basketball channel, obviously. Obviously, that was going to be basketball. The podcast is going to be just generally talking about people and their development as they go through different stages of life and different business ventures. Because I have a lot of friends that do content creation stuff and videography and things like that. So interviewing them, seeing how they're doing. Obviously, it's probably not going to yield actual like real money, but like it'll be nice. It's pretty easy to come up with the stuff for it. I'm interested in it. And then obviously I'm gonna do the weekly Friday videos on my other channel. I'm debating. I have a what's his name? I have a what is his name? I have a Larry marketing video in the vault that I'm actually gonna edit as soon as I get off here. And what I'm probably gonna do is upload that on my main basketball channel as like my token thing, because obviously the first channel that I got monetized on is this one, and it's thanks to the assistance of the Utah Jazz family. So it would only make sense for if I'm going to go in another direction on a different basketball channel to still pay homage to the same Utah Jazz family. So I think even though I would actually make money, like I would more than break even, I know for a fact the video would do 3K on here. I'm probably still going to upload it on the other channel just to get the ball rolling over there. And then I'll put up a Fontecchio video on this one. I wonder if I can double upload, if I can upload it on that channel and this channel. Since I'm the one that created it, I won't copyright strike myself, obviously. That's a very interesting thought. I don't know how that would go. I might try it still. But either way, I'll let y'all know. I'll make a community post regarding it. So stay tuned. Make sure post notifications are on. If you're not a member, become a member. All that good stuff. Donations are welcome. Perfectly around buy me a coffee, but YouTube supers and stuff are loved as well. It's just that YouTube ends up stealing like freaking 50% of everything. Like, ugh. Or no, it's like 45%. I don't really love it, but shout out YouTube anyways, because we're on here streaming, right? We all get to have a fun dialogue because of them. So THT and Salmonich for Evan Carter and Torrey Craig. No way Chicago takes the low, but fun idea. Yeah, fun idea. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that. But yeah, man. I'm debating because it is almost 2 a.m. on the East Coast. So what I might do when I hop off here, I might create my I might do a different stream, but on my other channel while I edit the video. I might do that, and y'all can watch me like record and edit a video, and then I can go watch hours on that channel. I might go that route just to have something and get the ball rolling over there, because I don't want to make this too long, because obviously it's like 2.5 hours and it's more than a game recap at this point. But yeah, that channel is going to be, and I should be cleared to go for it. It's going to be at, what is it, at the Wraith Hoops. Like that's the app for the channel. I'm probably about to hop over there and go live and then just work on the video. That's what I did. I tried to do it last time, but I forgot you had to get like the 24-hour wait time thing before you were allowed to. I forgot that was a thing. Shout out YouTube, right? But I'll be over there next. I wish Brooklyn would trade my Cal to Utah specifically. That'd be hard. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning into the live stream. We all had a fun little laugh. We enjoyed the game. A great way to bring in the new year. With that being said, it's only a matter of time before we take this whole thing to the moon and before the Utah Jazz find themselves back in the playoff picture for the first time in some time, in a long time. And it'll be enjoyable, That's the biggest thing. With that being said, it's been your boy Wraith Hoops. Thanks for tuning in this video. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe, turn on post notifications, become a member if you haven't already to get the content faster than anybody else. With that being said, no matter where you are on the globe, good morning, good evening, good night. No matter where you are on the planet, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Matt, he said, howdy, Wraith, been lurking up in the nosebleeds, but enjoy your takes. Great game, another great live, great chat. Happy New Year. Appreciate you, Mac. I was wondering where you been at, buddy. Yes, sir. I'll catch y'all, boys.